The St. George News reports the driver who hit the victim drove off, but their license plate had fallen off during the crash. The suspect has since been booked into jail on suspicion of driving under the influence. Professional pickleball players from around the world are spending the week in northern Utah. Brigham City is hosting the annual Tournament of Champions, which runs through Saturday. Your money at this moment. Right now, the Dow is up 127. That's 0.4%. We're at 35,073. Coming up, thunderstorms are just around the corner. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:02.
What do you need to hear in the morning to feel ready for the day?
Important news that happened overnight, the traffic you'll hit on the roads.
You'll be ready for your day with us.
Join Utah's Morning News 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
Hi, this is Doug Wright here with another experiment you can try at home regarding water. You can take 4 bags of water softener salt, lift 3 of the bags with one hand and 1 bag with your other hand. Yeah, I know. Now, if you're like most people, you'll probably find that 3 bags of salt weigh about 3 times as much as the 1 bag of salt. And that's an important thing to bear in mind when you're shopping for a water softener. You see, in our home, we have Kinetico, and the Kinetico water softeners are so well designed, they use only 1 bag of salt for every 3 bags that other water softeners use. Now, I can speak to this because we have had a Kinetico soft water system now in 2 different homes, and I'm not a fan of lifting those bags of salt. This is just one of the many reasons you really should look into Kinetico. Their number is 801-576-8600 or go to softwaterutah.com.
Wake up, people. You're optimizing every waking hour of your life. From carpooling kids to work to friends and everything in between. You have to get sleep and a bed that can perform as well as you do. Meet the next generation Sleep Number Smart Bed. It effortlessly adjusts to your shape, position, and movements, learning how you sleep so you learn to sleep better night after night. Sleep next level, only from Sleep Number.
It's the biggest sale of the year. Save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed, plus free home delivery when you add a base. Ends Monday.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Warmer weather is here, and Skinny Utah would like to help you shape up for summer by losing 20 pounds in the next 40 days. That's right, 20 pounds in as little as 40 days. That's the Skinny Utah promise. Skinny Utah will customize every plan because no 2 bodies are alike. Their proven program is 100% natural. There are never any prepackaged meals or shakes to buy, and they never use dangerous drugs or hormones. Skinny Utah will teach you how to eat real food you buy at the store. Take the first step to a healthier new you and schedule your free weight loss strategy session at skinnyutah.com. A $300 value, absolutely free. Skinny Utah has offices in Draper, Orem, Centerville, and St. George, and they're extending their couple special, where the second person is half price. Schedule your free weight loss strategy session today at skinnyutah.com. That's skinnyutah.com. At Skinny Utah, you have nothing to lose but the weight.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Granite Credit Union's high-yield savings certificates. And here's Andy Farnsworth.
A little bit of slowing in both directions, I-15 around the 215 overpass, and then we have eastbound delays on 215 between I-15 going over to State. It clears before you get to Union Park, though. Still busy as you switch on to I-80 from 21st South and I-15 in South Salt Lake, but freeway speeds along I-15 in Utah County and Davis County. Start your dream kitchen or bath today at Bedrock Quartz, where it's only 7 days from template to installation. Visit the new Spanish Fork showroom or bedrockquartz.com. That's bedrockquartz.com. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, we should hit 97 today, but then storms start making their way into northern Utah. We could see scattered rainstorms Thursday through Sunday, and the humidity level is going to be a lot higher than normal around the state. Right now it's 79 at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. Your all-day companion for news.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
It is a big day for a lot of families all over Utah. 4 school districts heading back in session, back to school today. And I did the student enrollment tally, Dave, for these 4 districts, and it came to like 192,000 students.
Yikes. Across Utah, I think the number is nearly 650,000 students. That's just K through 12. Yeah, it's a big week for schools. It's 9:06. It's time for the launch.
Sequence engaged.
And here are 3 things Debbie wants you to know.
Countdown. 3.
They've had 10 debates in 12 days. The last one was last night, right here on KSL News Radio and also on KSL 5 Television. There was Bruce Huff and Celeste Malloy facing off. They've been traveling the state, sharing how they would work in Congress if they got elected. They have, of course, running for the 2nd Congressional District. Dave, we kind of agreed on this. What really stood out to us was their thoughts, their ideas for dealing with solutions for the southern border.
Right now, the best technology I know of to secure the southern border is a wall.
We welcome those who are absolutely persecuted, but those 80% that don't qualify from the southern border, they can go home.
I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen so many debates and in such a short amount of time. Debbie, the only day they took off, Sundays. Every other day, there was a debate for the last couple of weeks.
Countdown. 2.
Thousands of 5-year-olds heading off to full-day kindergarten this year. The State Board of Education, Dave, issued some data, and I don't know if you're going to like it. It says the demand in Utah is huge, and it is growing for all-day kindergarten. Grew by more than 7,000 kids just last year. Now, I think there are 3 sides to this full-day K coin. Okay, there's the learning side. There's the financial side for families who can forego daycare costs if their kids are enrolled in all-day kindergarten. Then there's Dave's side.
Yeah, Dave's side is, can we just let kids be kids? It's incredible that we take these little 5-year-olds, many who are still learning how to speak, and we're putting them into school for 7 hours a day. And because it's convenient for the parent, we're totally fine with it. I get it. It's easy for the parent. It makes life so much easier. That doesn't mean it's better for the kids.
Launch countdown. 1.
A call from the United Nations to ban smartphones and smartwatches in classrooms all over the world. A handful of countries have done this. And here in Utah, do you remember this, Dave? One lawmaker floated a proposal to ban school kids from unfettered access to their smartphones. His pitch got panned by lawmakers last year. I thought it made sense when he talked to us about it on air, when he called the show last year.
There should be a cubby or some type of holster for phones that when you walk into the classroom for the day, you have to put your phone up and there it remains until the end of class.
One of the most compelling arguments that I heard, Debbie, and I love this conversation because it's a tough one. It's unpopular, but it's how distracting it is. Just a single notification. As soon as your phone alerts and you look down, how long it takes you to get back on track.
Dave and Dujanovic.
The launch.
Commence.
KSL in the classroom. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
Dave, I did the math. I'm not very good at math, but did the math of the 4 school districts that are heading back to school today. Kids in the Alpine District, which is in Utah County. Provo School District, you're heading back. Granite School District in Salt Lake County, and then Nebo School District just south of Provo, kind of the Mapleton, Spanish Fork area. They're heading back. It totaled about 192,000 students heading back to the classroom today.
The Davis School District starts on Thursday. Like, who starts a school day on a Thursday?
I always
day.
thought the reason for starting kind of halfway through the week, could be totally wrong, is so they don't have to start on a Monday and kind of get back up to speed and go all 5 days.
The soft launch of school.
Adam Small standing by live for us right now. You have been out and about all morning long. I guess Adam's not on the line. Okay, we're trying to reach out to Adam Small right now. He's been, I think, in the Granite School District, trying to see how the kids' first day of school is for the kids there. The Granite School District has 60,000 students.
Yeah, there's some huge districts. Obviously, Alpine, Granite, these are very large districts. Again, Davis starting off on Thursday, but this is a shock. It's one of the things about the way we schedule school right now that a little archaic, maybe it's outdated, but where we give 3 months off during the summer and kids just completely shut down from all learning. And then, boom, right back into it for the next 9 months. I wonder, we've dabbled a little bit with different kinds of schedules, but yeah, so far we're still on this 9 months on, 3 months off.
In about 3 minutes from now, the Granite School District calling the line live. There's been a call from the United Nations to ban cell phones in classrooms around the world. A handful of countries have done it. We covered the story this morning on Utah's Morning News, so Dave and I are going to talk about this and our opinions on it. But here in Utah, one lawmaker did float the proposal to ban school kids from unfettered access to their smartphones. He did that last year. Representative Trevor Lee did not have a ton of success with it.
There should be a cubby or some type of holster for phones that when you walk into the classroom for the day, you have to put your phone up and there it remains until the end of class.
So let's ask the Granite School District when they call the show next if there's any chatter about banning cell phones in schools this year, because if you recall last year, at least one junior high put a post on social media last year saying cell phones are banned from the classroom.
Dave and Dujanovic. Hi, it's Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
Why should you start your day with us?
We have decades of news experience between us.
And we take your trust seriously.
Come here for news tomorrow, 5 to 9.
On KSL.
The recovery and rebuild will take a generation.
The fire was moving at a mile a minute.
We ran out of the house. I'm lucky to be alive.
Destruction of Lahaina. There is very little left there.
Maui strong. You're seeing it in full display as people are coming out of the woodworks to serve, to help.
During these times, Utahns pull together to help friends and communities in need. Please join us by donating to the disaster relief right at our website. Look for Maui Strong at KSLNewsRadio.com.
Summer might be over for the kids, but summer's not over for your air conditioners. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and we still have plenty of hot days left. So if you haven't had your air conditioner serviced yet, I got some good news for you. Today, Wednesday, August 16th, Any Hour Services is having a surprise one-day sale for any homeowners listening. Normally, we charge $124 to tune up your air conditioner, but if you call today and mention this ad, we'll tune up your air conditioner for only $29. That's a $95 savings. Call Any Hour Services right now at 801-443-7400. Manufacturers say that annual maintenance can help your air conditioner cool your home better and prevent unexpected breakdowns. 801-443-7400. The biggest reasons people don't get their air conditioner serviced each year is because they forget. So right now, while you're thinking about it, call Any Hour Services, lock in a $95 savings, and schedule a $29 air conditioner tune-up. Call Any Hour Services right now at 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
In a swampy D.C. move, Celeste Malloy is attacking Bruce Huff. Here's the truth. Bruce has lived, paid taxes, and voted in Utah for 45 years. He raised 10 children here. He's the only candidate in this race that voted for and donated to Trump in 2020. Celeste wants to divert attention from the fact that she lives 2,100 miles away in Virginia. Celeste spent her entire career working for the government and has been part of the D.C. swamp for years. She didn't vote for Trump in 2020. In fact, she hasn't even voted in 4 of the last 6 elections. And 75% of Celeste's campaign donations come from lobbyists and those living outside of Utah. Celeste is part of the swamp. Utah deserves a real conservative and someone who actually lives in Utah. Paid for by To Form a More Perfect Union. Not authorized by any candidate or candidate committee.
This is the year to go see Utah Symphony and Utah Opera. All shows have just gone on sale at the best prices you'll see this year. Get tickets for your favorites at usuo.org.
Are you a business owner or HR rep? Does your company offer health insurance to your employees? If so, how do you know if you're getting the best deal on employee benefits? Every company works with a benefit broker who offers insurance plans. But did you know that a benefit broker makes more money when you spend more? Brokers are not only incentivized to steer you to more expensive insurance plans, but the more quotes they get, the harder they have to work and the less money they make. Most brokers get quotes from a few insurance companies, or they recommend you renew as is. They don't do the extra work to get you the best deal. Either way, they get paid. What if you could save 10%, 20%, or more, but you don't know it? No one should have to wonder if they're getting the best deal on employee benefits. My name is Keith with Magellan and Linden. We're a different kind of benefit broker that offers a best plan, best price guarantee. Unlike other brokers, we get quotes from every insurance company, every year. It forces insurance companies to compete for your business and offer the best deal possible. We'll show you all your options, help you weigh the pros and cons, and then you'll feel confident to make the right choice for your company. Here's what you do. Step 1, visit shopmyplan.com. Step 2, we get you free quotes with no strings attached. Step 3, if you like what you see, let's work together. Step 4, you get the best plan at the best price. Your employees will be happy because they have great insurance. Your bank account will thank you because you got a great deal. If your benefits broker isn't getting quotes from every insurance company every year, you're probably paying too much. That's money that could make a big difference to your business, your employees, and your bottom line. You've got nothing to lose, so visit shopmyplan.com today to get the best deal on employee health insurance. That's shopmyplan.com. Again, shopmyplan.com. Let's save you some money. Visit shopmyplan.com today.
Hi, I'm Heather Kelly with KSL News Radio. I have a podcast, Money Making Sense. My passion is to help people keep more money in their pockets by learning how to cut costs.
Unplugging unused gadgets can cut your bill by 10%.
This includes anything from understanding your health insurance options.
How do those co-payments or deductibles or out-of-pockets play in? And what is it going to cost me?
To smart strategies for buying a home on your budget. But it isn't all about the cash. Not getting scammed and preventing financial abuse is a big part of Money Making Sense.
The biggest piece that's holding women back on being able to leave is feeling financially trapped.
Basically, if money affects your life in any way, I'll talk about it. That includes speaking with ambassadors, state governors, and even the U.S. Secretary of Transportation about where your tax dollars are going. Follow Money Making Sense for free wherever you get your favorite podcasts on kslpodcast.com or the KSL News Radio app.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Amanda Dixon. First, thousands of Utah kids are back in school this morning, with today being the first day of classes in the Alpine, Granite, Nebo, and Provo districts. Second, missionaries from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Maui have gathered to help people in the town of Kula, which also suffered devastating losses from the recent wildfires. Third, some of the top professional pickleball players in the world are spending the week in Utah. They're taking part in the Tournament of Champions being held in Brigham City. Right now it's 79 degrees in Salt Lake City. Back to David Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
KSL in the Classroom. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
Well, with kids heading back to school today, it is a big day for at least kids in 4 school districts. Dave's kids head back tomorrow. Good time to talk about what the United Nations is saying about smartphones. And they're basically saying, they came out, I thought this was interesting that it was the United Nations saying this. They came out and said smartphones in classrooms should be banned. And I think they looped in smartwatches too, with some exceptions, but basically a ban on smartphones.
It's about time. And I know every kid right now that is not listening to this show, they are going to freak out over this. It is the scariest thing in their life to be parted from their beloved phone for just a few hours during the day. What are they going to do? What if somebody texts them? Yeah, this is how we all grew up, kids. We did not have constant interaction with our friends, our parents, at all when we were at school. We were at school. We had to talk to our neighbor and get in trouble by the teacher just like everybody else. If you want to talk to somebody, you have to make friends with the person sitting next to you.
I want to get with KSL News Radio's Kate Davis. She was reported for Utah's Morning News this morning, and that's how this story wound up on our plate today. Because I mean, it's such a great story because everybody has an opinion about smartphones in classrooms. Here's Kate's report about what the UN is saying.
The UN is out with an annual education report. It's very clear in its stance against phones in the classroom. The report says just having a cell phone nearby with notifications coming through is enough to distract kids from learning. The report cites a study that says it can take kids up to 20 minutes to zero in on what they were learning after getting distracted. Schools in the UK, Belgium, and Spain have ditched phones in the classrooms, and according to the report, those countries have already seen better learning outcomes. Kate Davis, KSL News Radio.
The number that stood out to me, Debbie, is it takes 20 minutes to refocus after an interruption, and this is not anything new. This is for adults. This is for children. This was a study that's been around for a long time out of the University of California. 20, 23 minutes every time you're working, and the newsroom's the worst. Let me just tell you, folks, there is not a worse place in the world than the newsroom. You will not get 23 minutes of uninterrupted anything in your life. So all we do is we work distracted the entire time. It's just very hard, obviously, for kids. When a teacher is trying to explain something, the phone goes off, focus is lost, they miss crucial concepts, and then it may ruin the entire class period.
Did you see me in the newsroom today while you were working on the segments for later in the show? I was digging through our D2 archives, doing some D2 recon, because I recalled that Representative Trevor Lee, State Representative Lee, called our show last year before his proposal had failed miserably on Utah's Capitol Hill. He wanted to ban cell phones in classrooms, and I actually thought he had a really great pitch. Very thoughtful pitch. Okay, let me play our interview with Representative Trevor Lee. And actually, I think it was from earlier this year during the legislative session.
Essentially what my bill is if you are in elementary school, there should be a cubby or some type of holster for phones that when you walk into the classroom for the day, you have to put your phone up and there it remains until the end of class. So for middle school and high school, it would be a cubby for every classroom. As you go into the class, you deposit your phone there, and then when class is over, you pick it up and you leave. Pretty simple. The bill's not very big, but it gives the power to the districts to enforce this. And also there are obviously exceptions for medical use. And if they're going to use it for classroom time, the teacher has that discretion as well.
And again, this one was just for elementary schools. This isn't junior highs and high schools. And of course, listen, folks, if you want to start dialing right now, don't. If your kid has a medical issue, we're not talking about that. If they need their phone to monitor something, that's fine. We're not talking about that. We're talking about my kid that has no business looking at his phone during class time.
It feels glorious when I leave my phone somewhere. You know, when I know where it is. I don't
like a
know
get out of jail free card.
Mm-hmm. When I go paddleboarding and my phone is somewhere else, like it's parked in my home or it's left in my car, it does feel glorious. And I can't imagine being a kid constantly getting pinged, probably often by their parents, on their smartphones. Ben Horsley, the Granite School District, happy first day of school.
Thank you. Glad to be with you.
I remember scrolling through Instagram last year and saw a post. I think it was Eisenhower Junior High, which is, of course, in your district. And I think if I recall, they had posted that cell phones were going to be banned. That's such a strong word, but it seemed like they were going to uninvite cell phones into the classroom setting. Did they do that? And if so, how did it go?
They did, and all I have is anecdotal data. They
Sure.
are one of many schools within our district that have removed that distraction from the learning environment. And banned is a strong word. The kids are still able to bring their devices to the school campus, but they're required to leave them in their bag or not have them out to distract them while they're actually supposed to be learning.
So the question I have for you, Ben, is when a kid chooses not to put it in the backpack, maybe sneak it in a pocket, and they look at it, can you take that phone away, or how does that work?
Yeah, that would empower the teacher to be able to remove the phone and hold it until the end of the class period. If there's multiple violations, that would be given to the front office, and then there would need to be a meeting with the the administrator and the parent and the student in order to get the phone back. We would give the phone back to the parent, not to the student, because it's obviously proven to be too much of a nuisance and an attraction.
The United Nations has come out with a report strongly urging the banning of cell phones in classrooms all over the world, saying it takes kids about 20 minutes. They cited a study, 20 minutes to kind of refocus and catch back up to where they were at every time they're distracted by a cell phone. Who is the worst offenders when it comes to distracting kids from cell phones? Because I have a theory that it's probably the kiddos' parents that are texting them.
I don't have any formal data to justify that, but I would. The UN's a little bit behind on this, and I know conspiracy theories will abound because the UN's issuing this report. But this data has been around for quite some years, and in fact, I believe this show, somebody affiliated with KSL, did a news story about how many times kids were pinged in just a short period of time. And as you've indicated, every single ping just adds to that distraction, and soon a kid's not engaged in their learning at all.
Well, Ben, it sounds to me that schools don't need legislation. They don't need the United Nations to tell them this. They don't need Capitol Hill to tell them this, although I did like Representative Trevor Lee's attempt to, put some guardrails up about cell phone use in classrooms, because it sounds to me like schools in your district are already doing that on their own.
They are leading out, but they're having to get what his legislation would essentially do is provide our schools and particularly our teachers with the coverage necessary to be able to enforce that, because a lot of times teachers either individually in their classrooms have tried to remove that distraction, or as a school in its entirety, like Cypress High School and Eisenhower Junior High have done. And too many times parents are pushing back, saying with false claims of I'm not able to get a hold of my. No, you can still contact your student. There are emergency contingencies here. We're not saying you cannot contact your student. We're saying don't have that cell phone out when it's the middle of class time. And so what his bill would have done is with a state statute, sometimes that does provide us with the coverage we need in order to be able to put an effective measure in place, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it absolutely does. I used to use that against my kids all the time. State law says you can't go over X number, speed limit when you're driving. Ben Horsley of the Granite School District, best of luck on that first day of school. Big day for many, many students across Utah.
And Debbie, I am absolutely 100% fine with the schools taking away my kids' phones. If they're abusing it, go ahead, take it away. I like the idea of them not having constant disruption in the classroom. That being said, I've texted my kids during school. I have 100% been guilty of texting my kids knowing full well they're in school.
For something urgent?
No. It's like, hey, have you heard this song? Great song. Justin Bieber just came out. Hey, did you hear the rumor? Biebs and Taylor Swift collab. What do you think? ? I would love that it were something valuable.
I'm sure my kids would say, I remember when you would be mad and text us in all caps about something, right during
dishes,
science class. And then it would weigh on their mind all day that they were going to get home and they were going to be in some sort of, and usually they were not in trouble. But
yeah, there's
so
no
distracting.
torture worse than we're going to talk about this later. No torture worse.
Oh, my goodness. Dave's dropped the mic moment. I'm going to ruin it by telling you what's coming up next. We're going to go live to Washington, D.C. Candidates for the GOP primary for the race for the White House are starting to weigh in on the President Trump's latest indictment number 4.
These are politicized persecutions through prosecution. And I say this as somebody who's running in some polls third, in some polls like today, second. It would be a lot easier for me if Donald Trump were not in this primary.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story this hour. Police are looking for a driver who crashed into the front yard of an Ogden homeowner. Jeff Bolson tells KSL TV he's uncertain if the crash was caused by racing or something else.
The prevailing thought is that it may have actually been intentional just to drive through the fence.
Bolson says speeding is a real problem near his house. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. People living in Maui who lost everything in the deadly fires are starting to see more help arrive. ABC's Alex Stone reports from Maui.
In a kitchen on a closed college campus, the biggest names in Hawaii's culinary scene are chopping and cooking. They've come together to work with celebrity chef Jose Andres' World Central Kitchen. Andres' team arrived in Maui and set up a massive food production line here. Famous Maui chef Sheldon Simeon is cooking thousands of meals every day.
Batches of 3,000 portions, hundreds of pounds of protein, hundreds of pounds of vegetables that need to be prepped.
The meals are then being delivered hot to the hardest hit areas where victims still have no power or communication. Alex Stone, ABC News, Maui.
Police were able to find the suspect in a Cedar City hit and run because their license plate was at the crash scene. Cedar City police say a woman was injured after getting hit from behind. The St. George News reports the driver who hit the victim reportedly fled the scene, but police found the suspect because their car's license plate had fallen off in the crash. The suspect has been booked into jail on suspicion of driving under the influence. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 85 points with 35,031. Coming up, thunder showers roll in through tomorrow. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:32.
We have enough people running around Broadcast House at 4 in the morning to field a football team.
Producers, reporters, the traffic team, and us.
This is Tim and Amanda.
Join us each morning from 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
Hey, folks, if you have a family member that is struggling with addiction, you're not alone. Hundreds of millions of folks are dealing with addiction, or a family member, or a loved one, a friend. They know somebody that is struggling. And Renaissance Ranch wants to help you out because you may feel, like, what can I do? What can I do? I know when I worked with kids that were struggling with addiction issues back in my 20s, I remember that was the biggest question from the parents. It's like, what do I do? I don't even know how to communicate. Well, Renaissance Ranch offers free online classes where you can learn some of these skills, what role you can play to help restore some of that healing and hope. All you have to do is go to renaissanceranch.com, renaissanceranch.com. That's where you will find these free online classes. They're open to the public. They've been doing this for over 20 years. They help adult males overcome some of these struggles. Check out more and find out at renaissanceranch.com.
Locking in an amazing, crazy low, once-in-a-lifetime deal on your terms has never been easier. Just go to General RV during our Bid and Buy sale, August 16th through the 19th. You have the power to name your own price. Just find your favorite RV, submit your best offer, and get a fantastic deal. To make a bid, go to General RV and ask the front desk associate for a bid sheet. In Draper off I-15. Not all offers will be accepted. Accepted offers do not require purchase. See dealer for details.
Heart failure, carpal tunnel syndrome, shortness of breath, stomach issues, lower back pain. How does it all add up? If you have heart failure and any of those seemingly unrelated symptoms sound familiar, it's time to talk with your cardiologist and get the full picture. They may add up to transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy. ATTR-CM is a rare and underdiagnosed disease. Recognize the signs and discuss them with your doctor soon. Learn more at connectwithyourheart.com. That's connectwithyourheart.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Summer might be over for the kids, but summer's not over for your air conditioners. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and we still have plenty of hot days left. So if you haven't had your air conditioner serviced yet, I got some good news for you. Today, Wednesday, August 16th, Any Hour Services is having a surprise one-day sale for any homeowners listening. Normally, we charge $124 to tune up your air conditioner, but if you call today and mention this ad, we'll tune up your air conditioner for only $29. That's a $95 savings. Call Any Hour Services right now at 801-443-7400. Manufacturers say that annual maintenance can help your air conditioner cool your home better and prevent unexpected breakdowns. 801-443-7400. The biggest reasons people don't get their air conditioner serviced each year is because they forget. So right now, while you're thinking about it, call Any Hour Services, lock in a $95 savings, and schedule a $29 air conditioner tune-up. Call Any Hour Services right now at 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Granite Credit Union's high-yield savings certificates. And here's Heather Kelly.
We still have some delays northbound I-15 as you cross over the I-215 South interchange in the Murray area and head all the way to 3300 South and South Salt Lake. But then if you transition onto eastbound I-80 heading toward Sugar House, you'll hit a wall of traffic from 1300 East to 23rd East. This is through the construction zone. Is the IRS harassing you? Are tax problems ruining your life? Let Utah tax attorney Jordan Wilcox help. Visit taxhelput.com. That's taxhelput.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather. Today's high will be 97 degrees. Look for scattered thunderstorms to roll through starting tomorrow, which could bring flash flooding in some parts of the state. Right now, it's 79 degrees at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. Your all-day companion for news.
Presidential indictment. In-depth coverage on KSL News Radio.
Well, news of former President Trump's fourth indictment out of Georgia prompted his Republican rivals to offer some mixed reactions, but I thought some of their reactions were quite vanilla, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, what is less flavorful than vanilla? Is there anything like, is it just straight, is it yogurt? Is it Greek yogurt? You know what, Debbie? It's the Greek yogurt of responses. That's what they've done because they are so afraid of offending any Trump supporters, they will say nothing. Even when criticism is warranted, even when criticism is deserved, they won't criticize Trump, which we've never seen. I've never seen this before in politics. If you're running against somebody and they have a weakness or they have a flaw, you shine a big, bright light on it. But for some reason...
It's like he's cast a spell on them.
They are so afraid of Trump's ardent supporters that they will not criticize him.
Afraid because they are hoping to marry his supporters at some point? Like they'll just come over to their camp? Is that what you think? Why they're afraid?
Okay. Boy, it's a great question. I think a little bit. But here's another way to look at it. Say you criticize Trump and he ends up dropping out. Do you think the most ardent Trump supporters are not going to vote for the Republican nominee, even if it's not Trump? Of course they are. They're not going to vote for Joe Biden ever. So what's the real fear here? They're not going to vote for the alternative. So go ahead. If you want to criticize Trump, criticize him.
Vivek Ramaswamy, who is in third place, I think. Third place right now in terms of polling, shared reaction to the indictment on News Nation.
These are politicized persecutions through prosecution. And I say this as somebody who's running in some polls third and some polls like today second. It would be a lot easier for me if Donald Trump were not in this primary. But that is not how I want to win this election. The way we do elections in the United States of America is that we, the people, you all, get to decide who governs, not the federal police state.
That was probably the strongest response I heard. Here was former Vice President Mike Pence.
Former Vice President Mike Pence speaking out for the first time on the criminal indictment in Georgia against his former boss, Donald Trump. He said at the National Conference of State Legislators Summit in Indianapolis, his role on January 6th was complete.
I did my duty that day to see the peaceful transfer of power under the Constitution of the United States and the laws of this country.
I did my duty that day.
We're not talking about that one, man. We're talking about the phone call in Georgia where he's like, hey, do you think you could find me? I don't know. I'm just pulling this number out of a hat. 11,780 votes.
I don't think it was a question either. Hey, guys, give me a break. Brittany Shepard joining us once again. ABC News national political reporter out of Washington, D.C. Any word on how Ron DeSantis has responded, if at all?
Yes, he responded yesterday on a radio interview saying that actually he never thought Trump should actually run again to begin with, even before all these legal cases before he left office. Like, that's some love lost, right? It kind of feels like that story's changed. He used to be one of Trump's closest confidants. But here's DeSantis' reasoning. He has two reasons. First, he says Republicans need a candidate who's actually going to be able to win in a general election. Well, this is an actual worry I hear from Republicans, down ballot, elected officials, and just voters who worry that Trump in a general election matchup against Biden is just not electable because independents and persuadables in the middle just don't like Trump at all and would rather hold their nose and vote for Biden than even consider someone like Trump, period. And DeSantis' second reason is that he thinks that the country needs a uniter and someone who can deliver on all the things that he's been promising, including focus and discipline, and there can't be any distractions. And guess what? 4 indictments can be pretty distracting. I mean, we went over that calendar yesterday. I can do it again. It's kind of crazy for Trump in the next 6 months, next year. So those are DeSantis' pitches. I don't know if DeSantis is the uniter he thinks he is if you're looking at his polling numbers, but that's for the country to decide.
It does seem that the only candidate so far that has really been highly critical of Trump is former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie. Are we hearing any other candidates go more down the Chris Christie line of directly attacking the former president?
Well, that's so interesting because you would think this time around Christie would be, just as ardent against Trump as he's been before. But on Fox, he actually said that he's uncomfortable with this current indictment out of Georgia. It's pretty fascinating. He says that the conduct here is actually covered by the federal indictment, so he actually thinks it's unnecessary. And I was shocked. I was surprised to see that because Christie has just been running, like you said, just right at Trump in the middle of the target. So if Christie isn't bringing his knuckles out, nobody else will.
Yeah, because he has been very outspoken about President Trump and his time serving for the president. So it's surprising to me. He sounds like he's changing his tune. Maybe he's a little worried there, Brittany, that if he doesn't change his tune, that there's no chance for him at all. And there doesn't seem to be right now as it is with the polling.
Yeah, and I know you guys were having this really interesting conversation before I caught on because what are these other candidates thinking about whether or not to take Trump on? Is it because they believe that Trump's voters will sour on him? I don't think Christie thinks that he's going to get the most ardent MAGA folks. But he does think that because he was friends with Trump for so long and was part of that transition team, he can get people who are Trump persuadables. And yeah, it's a lot of points to clear. I think for Christie, it might be 30 points as of today. But Christie's someone who could really shine in a debate stage, and his campaign at least thinks so, and that's a week from today. Christie plans on being there. It's still TBD if Trump does.
Brittany Shepard, thank you for joining us. ABC News national politics reporter out of Washington.
I really want to commend you for what you were saying earlier, Dave, about just in general, like, usually in politics, when you spot an opponent's weakness, you pounce on it, you make television commercials about it, you take it to every campaign stump and you exploit it. In this case, that's not happening. Super curious as to why.
Isn't it amazing that the hottest candidate right now, in my opinion, is Vivek Ramaswamy. And he has been pro-Trump from the get-go. He has been very complimentary. There's basically zero criticism, and he is polling best. And I wonder if he's not starting to win over some of these ardent Trump supporters and thinking, you know what? Maybe if Trump isn't able, then who's the next best option? Because right now, everyone is just battling it out for second place.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Before Dave and Debbie get started each day, this station is all news all morning.
And later today, we follow up on those stories as you drive home.
Get important news all morning and all afternoon.
Here on KSL News Radio.
Hi, friends. Dan, the laptop man here from PC Laptops. I get a lot of emails with feedback from customers. Here's one. Dear Dan, I just had the best experience ever. I bought a computer from Shane at your State Street store. I asked several what I thought were really stupid questions. Shane was super courteous and made me feel comfortable through the whole process. People need to understand how important it is to support a local company, especially when your experience is so good. PC Laptops really does love me. Signed, Satisfied. I love hearing feedback like that. It really just gives me the chills. It's the whole reason why I got into the computer business in the first place. You can get a brand new PC Laptops desktop, and they start at only $29 a month. And it comes with a lifetime warranty. That means if anything goes wrong, we're going to take care of you. Just check us out at PCLaptops.com. That's PCLaptops.com. At PC Laptops, we really do love you.
Summer might be over for the kids, but summer's not over for your air conditioners. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and we still have plenty of hot days left. So if you haven't had your air conditioner serviced yet, I got some good news for you. Today, Wednesday, August 16th, Any Hour Services is having a surprise one-day sale for any homeowners listening. Normally, we charge $124 to tune up your air conditioner, but if you call today and mention this ad, we'll tune up your air conditioner for only $29. That's a $95 savings. Call Any Hour Services right now at 801-443-7400. Manufacturers say that annual maintenance can help your air conditioner cool your home better and prevent unexpected breakdowns. 801-443-7400. The biggest reasons people don't get their air conditioner serviced each year is because they forget. So right now, while you're thinking about it, call Any Hour Services, lock in a $95 savings, and schedule a $29 air conditioner tune-up. Call Any Hour Services right now at 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Are you recently retired or nearing retirement? There are 3 retirement tax traps that could cost you tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. Learn what they are in a free report. 3 retirement tax traps that could wipe out your savings. It's from Boss Retirement Solutions, a 5-time winner of Utah's Best of State Award. Learn the 3 tax traps that could threaten your hard-earned savings, plus the simple steps you can take now that could dramatically reduce these taxes in retirement. To get your free report, call 801-896-9622. Would you like to save a lot of money in taxes when you retire? Get your free report now by calling 801-896-9622. That's 801-896-9622. Advisory services offered through Boss Retirement Advisors, an SEC registered investment advisory firm. Insurance products and services offered through Boss Retirement Solutions.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. Great time of year. So many things are going on. We've got back to school. We've got the change of the seasons, the end of summer, and it's time for us all, myself included, to get into NPS. What a nice place to shop and a nice place to save. NPS has 4 locations, 1 in Layton, 1 in Orem, and 2 locations in Salt Lake, just west of Redwood Road on Empire at 1600 South. You're going to find items on sale, brand new, wonderful stuff on sale each and every day, 30 to 70% off. But I'm going to tell you about some savings above and beyond that. Kitchen supplies right now, 25% off the already low prices. 30% off electronics. Some exclusions do apply. Makeup and nail care, summer sandals. It goes on and on at all 4 locations of NPS. It's a nice place to shop. Get into NPS.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Amanda Dixon. First, missionaries for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints are working to help people impacted by fires in Kula, which is about 40 miles from Lahaina on Maui. Second, professional pickleball players from around the world are spending the week in Brigham City, showing off their skills at the Tournament of Champions. And third, it's back to school for thousands of Utah students today, including the Granite School District. Right now, 79 degrees in Salt Lake City. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
There has been quite a few developments on the island of Maui. Of course, they're still dealing with that aftermath, those massive wildfires. At last count, more than 100 people, bodies have been found. And also, we reported yesterday that as many as 1,000 people are still missing.
Debbie, I remember when this first started coming out, the support, the supplies, they just started coming into Maui at a rate that was almost unsustainable. Let me play you a little bit from an Instagram story that I saw of how quickly the supplies were coming, almost overwhelming volunteers.
West Maui right now is pretty overrun with supplies.
We're asking everyone that wants to help and volunteer to take a short pause, a short break until Monday. Right now we have plenty food, plenty water, clothes. The only thing that's being requested at the 5 shelters between Honoka'i and Napili Park is cooking oil, butane, propane, gasoline, and diesel. Those are the only things being requested currently. Things may change coming Monday, but we'll keep you guys up to date every odd hour.
And Debbie, that was over the weekend. It was incredible, as we have seen from around the world, people organizing fundraisers and getting as much help as possible. Now it's managing all of these resources.
I'm curious to know how they're getting those fundraising, those items to folks in Lahaina and other areas that have been devastated by those wildfires, because this morning on Utah's Morning News, ABC's Alex Stone reported he is on Maui, and he reported about all the troubles that they're having with communication now because cell phone towers are getting jammed.
On the island here, people who do have cell phone service are being told it is best for bandwidth if they can text and not make phone calls to not tie up the impacted cellular infrastructure on the island. There are broadcast radio updates being done 3 times a day, and airplanes with loudspeakers are being flown into the hardest hit areas to get messages to anyone still in those areas. Cell phone and TV are not options. It is left to loudspeakers and radio.
Loudspeakers. That was so shocking. Did he say they're flying planes over with loudspeakers broadcasting information?
Wow. Hula Kalua Santiago, Utah Valley University with the Pacific Islanders Initiative. Thanks so much for joining us once again on the show, Hula.
Aloha. Hi, everyone.
Talk to us about your communication with family and friends on Maui right now. How has that been?
It's been very frustrating, and it's been very minimal as well. Whenever I received a call, or my sister-in-law, trying to get in communication with her mom, it's been very spotty. And they have to be almost very quick, so it's very vague to us about what's happening most of the time. And so it's very hard to get clear communication in a good amount of time.
Are you able to text?
Texting has been good, but, when texting, it can get confusing and whatnot. But texting has been an okay way so far.
I wasn't expecting this to be part of the ongoing fallout at all, that there would be a lack of ability to get phone calls out of the island. But it makes sense to me that there's just only so much bandwidth on cell phone towers. Do you how are they doing when you are able to talk to them or text with them?
They're okay, happy to be alive, but still in a state of shock and panic and grief. And they have to go, from some of the people that I've talked to, or people who have talked to their families, they're in random places just searching and scouring, the island for any type of cell service.
I've seen reports over 100 dead, 1,200 missing. Do you have any insight about those that are missing? What the idea is? Do they think they are just in different towns with poor communication? What's the running theory right now?
I think that's the hope, that they're in other towns, and that's the hope that they're in. They're just separated. But a lot of our people are really sad because they're expecting the worst, because everything happened so quickly, and themselves, they were able to only get out, just by the seconds that saved their lives. And so a lot of talk about a lot of our families and friends that may have already lost their lives.
Hula Kalua Santiago is with Utah Valley University's Pacific Islander Initiative, and your organization has done so much great work on behalf of your family and friends and all people on Maui. Hula, how has the fundraising efforts gone, and do you know if the items that you collected have reached the people there?
So Thank you. We have been working tirelessly, right after everything happened, and we actually hit a little more red tape yesterday as we were about to ship a bunch of things off. Thankfully, we were able to send a big load, and they should be reaching anytime now. And with the overwhelming donations, we are starting to make care packages for families and being able to label them and name them so that they can get them individually. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And like we saw, we don't want to bombard Maui with unnecessary items or to take up space for our people. So we are, sending things every day, slowly but surely, to specific needs and to specific families as well.
Ula, thank you for joining us. Ula Kalua Santiago from the UVU Pacific Islander Initiative. Best of luck. We're pulling for you. And in fact, here at Bonneville, Debbie, we're going to have a fundraiser as well for the people of Maui.
We've been in the throes of this since the beginning. Donate to Help Maui is the yellow button on the top left corner of the KSL News Radio webpage. So you just go to kslnewsradio.com. It's our Bonneville Maui Strong Fire Relief Fund. 100% of the money you donate will go directly to the folks who need it, to the Hawaii Community Foundation. It is a nonprofit serving Maui. I made a donation right when our boss sent us an email announcing this, and it took me literally minutes to make a donation, and it's very, very simple. So if you can give $10, $5, $20, $25, whatever the case may be, I know everyone over there would appreciate on Maui anything that we can give. There's just so many things and layers to this story that keep unfolding. And Dave, you were particularly interested yesterday on how this fire spread and the path it took and why it spared some homes but not others. So you'll be glad to know that we are actually going to spend a good portion of our 11 o'clock hour taking on and talking about these different angles. And one of those angles is we're going to have an expert, like a firefighter, on the line that can talk about fire behavior.
Part of what stood out to me when I was looking at the geography and the island itself, it's not like the city of Lahaina was in the middle of a forest where, sometimes you think, if you're living up on the mountains here in Utah, you're surrounded by trees. That isn't necessarily how it was along the coast. It's not like forest was butting up against the beaches of Lahaina. So I really want to know, what was it that caused such devastation? How was this fire jumping from home to home, from business to business? And is there anything that we can do in our communities to make sure that we are prepared, that we can prevent as much as possible some sort of catastrophe from spreading?
Yeah, that's tomorrow in our 11 o'clock hour. More coverage all day long on what is happening in Maui and the latest developments. And our thanks to Hulu for joining the show once again to give us the latest on what is happening with her family and friends. Next, in the 10 o'clock hour, thousands of 5-year-olds heading off to a full-day kindergarten class this year. That's right. It is growing in popularity by leaps and bounds. We're going to talk about the advantages to full-day kindergarten, and then we're going to get Dave's side of this story.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City. Listen on the KSL News Radio app and in your car at 102.7 FM. KSL News Radio, your all-day companion for news.
It's 10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour. We have breaking news about a fatality at a workplace in Clearfield. A worker died after an accident at the utility trailer manufacturing company. Police Lieutenant Scott Manukin says the 27-year-old man was hurt when equipment fell on him from above. Co-workers trying to save him with CPR when help arrived.
The victim was transported by ambulance to the Holy Cross Hospital in Layton, and he was in extremely critical condition and succumbed to his injuries a short time after arrival.
And OSHA will be investigating the accident now. The National and State Farm Bureaus have issued new statements following the resignation of former Farm Bureau President Ron Gibson. Video appeared to show him backhanding a farm worker who had confronted Gibson over unpaid paychecks. The American and Utah Farm Bureau Federations both say they welcome local investigations into Gibson's alleged assault and human trafficking. Gibson has apologized for the incident. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The number of dead on Maui has increased again, with a grim task underway of searching for human remains from last week's wildfire. ABC's Alex Stone is on Maui.
The number of dead here is today at 106 victims found. There are still hundreds who are missing. Governor Josh Green telling ABC News only about a third of the buildings in Lahaina have been searched yet by cadaver dogs.
The numbers will increase, but they will not increase, we hope, to further catastrophic proportions. We just don't know yet.
FEMA has 20 cadaver dogs here right now. They're requesting 20 more. A mobile morgue unit has arrived with 22 tons of gear to help identify victims. Alex Stone, ABC News, Maui.
Your money at this moment. The Dow Jones average up on the day right now, just 34 points. The NASDAQ is down 68. And our KSL weather looks like sunny skies again today and pretty warm. That's next. KSL News Time, 10:02.
Start your days with knowledgeable, friendly voices telling you about the latest news and weather out there.
Hi, this is Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
In the business of waking you up each morning from 5 to 9.
On KSL News Radio.
So you'd like to start enjoying your home a little more without climbing the stairs or doing yard work. How about spacious living in a newly designed, planned community with access to activities like golf, pickleball, and even leisurely strolls on beautiful open trails? It's yours with Nilsson Homes. They've been building homes across the Wasatch Front for over 45 years. Now see their latest single-level living community in Davis and Weber County. Brand new, move-in ready homes in the heart of Davis and Weber County, offering all the things you want in low-maintenance, luxury, single-level living. Easy access to just about everything. And best of all, no more stairs, lawnmowers, or yard work. Nilsson Homes has thought of everything, and it's done for you. Take advantage of amazing financing or reverse mortgage options. Nilsson Homes, luxury, low-maintenance living. Visit nilssonhomes.com. That's Nilson homes.com.
At Fisher Investments, we do things differently, and other money managers don't understand why.
Because our way works great for us.
But it may not work for your clients. That's why Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, obligated to put clients first. It's the highest standard for a financial advisor.
So, what do you provide? Cookie-cutter portfolios like the rest of us?
No cookie-cutter portfolios here. Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to meet each client's goals and needs.
But you do sell investments that earn you high commissions, right? And make commissions when you make trades for your clients?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission investment products, and we never earn commissions on trades.
So what's in it for you?
Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when our clients do better. When it comes to helping clients achieve a comfortable retirement, we're clearly different. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
In a swampy D.C. move, Celeste Malloy is attacking Bruce Huff. Here's the truth. Bruce has lived, paid taxes, and voted in Utah for 45 years. He raised 10 children here. He's the only candidate in this race that voted for and donated to Trump in 2020. Celeste wants to divert attention from the fact that she lives 2,100 miles away in Virginia. Celeste spent her entire career working for the government and has been part of the D.C. swamp for years. She didn't vote for Trump in 2020. In fact, she hasn't even voted in 4 of the last 6 elections. And 75% of Celeste's campaign donations come from lobbyists and those living outside of Utah. Celeste is part of the swamp. Utah deserves a real conservative and someone who actually lives in Utah. Paid for by To Form a More Perfect Union. Not authorized by any candidate or candidate committee.
Front, no delays northbound I-15 in the Salt Lake Valley, but we do have delays eastbound I-80 between 1300 and 2300 east. That's through the construction zone, but no other issues. Renew your smile with Grandpa's Dental. Grandpa's Dental offers cosmetic and routine dentistry. Visit grandpasdental.com for a location near you. That's grandpasdental.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, well, right now, looks like we're at 91. Nope, that can't be right. We're at 82 degrees. Partly cloudy skies. And we'll be looking at warm and sunny weather today, then thunderstorms move in a little bit later in the week. Right now, partly cloudy at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. Your all-day companion for news.
KSL in the classroom. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
It is a big day for almost 200,000 kids across Utah. We've got 4 school districts heading back. The Granite District, we spoke to them earlier in the show. The Nebo School District, which is just south of Provo, which the Provo District headed back as well, and then the Alpine School District. And a lot of those kids, Dave, will be heading back to full-day kindergarten. The State Board of Education issued some data, and it says, and you are going to hate this, Dave, the demand for all-day kindergarten in Utah is huge, and it is growing. I think there's 3 sides to this coin. There's the learning side of full-day kindergarten. There's the money-saving side for parents who don't have to opt for afternoon daycare and pay for that if their kids are in all-day kindergarten. And then there's David's side.
My side, which is, my goodness, why can't we just let kids be kids? Kindergartners, 5 years old, Deb. And we're saying, you sit your backside in this chair for the next 7 hours. We're going to give you a couple recesses breaks, but that's a lot of time for kids, especially as an introduction into school, to be seated, to have to learn. And I've talked to 3 different kindergarten teachers. Not one of them liked the idea of full-day kindergarten because they said, even at half-day, by the time those kids are done, they are done. They are ready to go home.
The data, though, shows that a lot of parents are signing their kids up. And I want everyone to remember this as we're talking about that. There is still an option for half-day. If you live in a school district that provides full-day kindergarten, your school district also provides half-day. Yeah?
I'm glad you brought this up. I had to raise my hand because I didn't want you to move on with this. It will be very interesting to see how each school district handles this whole, hey, we offer half day, because I know that at least in one school, they're offering quote unquote half day, but not really. They just put you in the full day class, and then you, the parent, have to check the kid out halfway through the day.
So it's not a specialized half-day class.
No. It's the same class, but you can check your kid out early. Well, you could always do that. I think if you're going to have a half-day class, then let's have a half-day curriculum. But this is the biggest problem with the whole half-day, full-day thing. We are straddling the line. We're trying to play both sides. We're trying to keep the half-day folks happy like me, and then we're trying to make the full day folks happy, and it's just different. It's difficult to make both sides happy. Choose one and stick with it. I would prefer you choose half day. But instead of offering 2 options and making these schools juggle, then go full day.
But the numbers are pretty convincing that more parents are getting on board with full day, at least in Utah. Here's the data from the Utah State Board of Education. They say that 7,200 more kids enrolled in all-day kindergarten than the year before. This was last year. So they saw a growth year over year of 7,200 additional students in full day. And then they had to add 300 plus, I think it was 314, full-day kindergarten classrooms. And remember that the Utah legislature has signed off on the funding for this. And they feel like it's going to get more and more popular.
Yes, I agree. I think you're absolutely right. I think the convenience of sending your 5-year-old to school full day outweighs what I think a lot of us feel like, you know what, 7 hours a day is probably too much for a 5-year-old, but the convenience is so great, and I would probably do the same thing, right? I'd like to think that I wouldn't, but I probably would. The convenience outweighs the good of the child.
Dave has utterly shellacked his side of the coin. So let's talk about the other sides of the coin that I thought were important to talk about when we're talking about all-day kindergarten options. There's the money side, and then there's the learning side. The money side is speaking from a parent who had to pay for after-school care when my kids were in half-day kindergarten. I get it. I get it. It is so expensive. At the time, many years ago, I was paying $3.50 an hour per kid. That is nothing compared to what parents are paying now. First 5-year funds, which is a website I went to that just analyzes all kinds of spending data and all kinds of data about kids who are in the 0 to 5 years. 51% of parents said they spend more than 20% of their annual household income on childcare. So I'm sure that number is even low. But 72% of parents report spending 10% or more. It costs a boatload of money to have your kids picked up whenever half-day kindergarten ends and have them bust over to the local daycare if you don't have a family member who can watch them. And then that almost becomes a pickle, too, because it becomes unfair to the family member who maybe they're a grandpa now, grandma now, and they deserve like a little bit of free time too. I had that same scenario where I felt bad always leaning on grandma and grandpa. So that is a huge chunk of savings in a time when Americans, Utahns, are spending so much more on just basics to get by in their household budget.
Yeah, in just the last 2 years, inflation is costing you an additional $700 a month. That was a recent report came out, $700 a month. So you tack on the additional costs of child care, and it can be overwhelming.
Yeah. I mean, that basically gives families, air quotes, a raise. Remember back when you could take your kids out of diapers and move them on out from baby formula?
Formula, yeah.
And I went home one day after that
moment
happened. Yeah, from grocery shopping, and I told my husband, I said, we just got a huge raise. Now let's talk about the learning side. And in a moment, we're going to take your live phone calls. Like, are you on Team Dave with this? Let kids be kids. Or are you kind of warming up to the idea of full-day kindergarten? Actually, I'm going to talk about the learning side of it in 3 minutes when we take phone calls, because I've got a whole bunch of information on what proponents of full-day kindergarten say is a big benefit to a kid's learning curve when it comes to more seat time. But are you warming up to the idea of full-day kindergarten, or are you still right in Dave's camp on this? Let kids be kids. Keep them in half-day. 801-575-TALK. 801-575-TALK. It's the first day of school for lots of kids, so why not talk about full-day kindergarten?
Dave and Dujanovic.
Hey, stay right here for more of Dave and Dujanovic.
And tomorrow morning, come back here for news, traffic updates, and reliable weather.
Join us to have a listen. Tim and Amanda.
Your morning companions for news.
Soon, this hot summer will give way to shorter days, beautiful colors, sunshine that seems a little dimmer. And before we know it, we're back to school shopping and cheering for our favorite football team. As the season changes, so will the news and weather. And we'll be here to cover it all. Plus, BYU sports coverage and traffic updates to get you to the game on time. KSL News Radio, your year-round companion for news.
Summer might be over for the kids, but summer's not over for your air conditioners. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and we still have plenty of hot days left. So if you haven't had your air conditioner serviced yet, I got some good news for you. Today, Wednesday, August 16th, Any Hour Services is having a surprise one-day sale for any homeowners listening. Normally, we charge $124 to tune up your air conditioner, but if you call today and mention this ad, we'll tune up your air conditioner for only $29. That's a $95 savings. Call Any Hour Services right now at 801-443-7400. Manufacturers say that annual maintenance can help your air conditioner cool your home better and prevent unexpected breakdowns. 801-443-7400. The biggest reasons people don't get their air conditioner serviced each year is because they forget. So right now, while you're thinking about it, call Any Hour Services, lock in a $95 savings, and schedule a $29 air conditioner tune-up. Call Any Hour Services right now at 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
When words come out of our mouths and everything sounds fine, no one bats an eye. But if things come out a little jumbled or letters sound different than most, there's speech therapy. But did you know that speech therapy is used for more than just stuttering or disfluency? From articulation to expressive and receptive language to a simple act of swallowing that most of us take for granted, speech therapy can do amazing things for you, your health, and of course your sense of self. That's why Summit Speech Therapy is here. Summit Speech Therapy works with people of all ages, from infants and toddlers who have a difficult time feeding or eating, TBI, stroke, or coma patients, to children and adults with speech problems. So much of it is all related, and Summit Speech Therapy can help. Summit works with all insurance companies as well as private pay options, and the experience can be life-changing. With clinics up and down the Wasatch Front, including Murray, with no long waiting for an appointment. For more, visit summitslp.com. That's summitslp.com.
Are you recently retired or nearing retirement? There are 3 retirement tax traps that could cost you tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. Learn what they are in a free report. 3 retirement tax traps that could wipe out your savings. It's from Boss Retirement Solutions, a 5-time winner of Utah's Best of State Award. Learn the 3 tax traps that could threaten your hard-earned savings, plus the simple steps you can take now that could dramatically reduce these taxes in retirement. To get your free report, call 801-896-9622. Would you like to save a lot of money in taxes when you retire? Get your free report now by calling 801-896-9622. That's 801-896-9622. Advisory services offered through Boss Retirement Advisors, an SEC-registered investment advisory firm. Insurance products and services offered through Boss Retirement Solutions.
Hi, this is Doug Wright, and when my wife Dee and I moved into our new home a few years back, would you care to guess what was one of the first purchases we made for the home?
It was a water softener, Doug.
That's right, but not just any water softener. The fact is, we, Dee and I, just won't settle for anything less than Connecticut. For one thing, Connecticut softeners are so well designed, they use 2/3 less salt than other softeners. And I tell you, my back really appreciates carrying in just 1 bag of salt compared to 3 that my neighbors are carrying in. For another, Connecticut's all-mechanical design never needs adjustment, even if the power goes out or some household water use changes. In fact, it's virtually maintenance-free, meaning there are no annoying knobs to fiddle with. You really should look into the water softener from Connecticut. To learn more, call Connecticut of Utah at 801-576-8600 or go to softwaterutah.com. That's softwaterutah.com.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, a worker was killed at a manufacturing business in Clearfield this morning when overhead equipment fell on him. Second, the head of the Utah Farm Bureau has resigned after being accused of assaulting a worker on his dairy farm. National and local Farm Bureau officials say that resignation was appropriate. Third, the number of dead has risen to 106 now in the wildfire disaster on Maui. The slow work continues of recovering victims in Lahaina. 82 degrees and partly cloudy in Salt Lake City right now. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
KSL in the classroom. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
It is the first day back to school for about 200,000 Utah school children. 4 districts back in session this morning, more coming online in the days ahead. And thousands of 5-year-olds will be heading off to full-day kindergarten this year as the option has become more and more popular. 7,000 kids year over year last year. It was like a growth of 7,000 students from the year before to last year, and they expect that number to continue to grow.
There's several things that bother me about full-day kindergarten. Number one, you've put the first grade teachers in a terrible situation when you offer both half-day and full-day kindergarten. I have no doubt that if you go to full-day kindergarten, you're going to have a boost. You're going to have more learning. But what happens when that first grade teacher has a bunch of these graduated kindergartners, some at a half-day learning level and some at a full-day learning level? That first grade teacher has to make up all the difference and catch everybody else up. So my fear is the full-day kids are going to be bored, and the half-day kids are going to be overwhelmed trying to catch up.
801-575-TALK. We want to take your live phone calls to check your pulse on what you think about full day compared to, half day. Dave's continuing to shellac his side of the coin on why he hates full day kindergarten, why he loves the half day option, the kids be kids, let kids be kids option. I just want to take a moment, and we really divided this into 3 sides of the coin. One is Dave's side of the coin. The other is the money side of the coin we just talked about, which was the expense of daycare will be saved by so many Utah families who are opting into full-day kindergarten in public school, and they can leave their child there instead of picking them up at noon or whatever time it is and busing them to daycare while mom and dad, both parents, work. Or you don't have to lean on grandma and grandpa as much. Maybe grandma and grandpa just get to go do their thing until they pick the kids up when school ends. So that is the one other side of the coin. And then the third side is the learning side, which I think is probably the most important side. And there are several studies, I tried to read through as many as I could before this discussion, that talk about the benefits of full-day kindergarten. And in the state office, the State Board of Education released some information that says it takes 15 to 30 minutes over a short amount of time to close a learning gap in kindergarten compared to 90 minutes to 3 hours a day over a long period of time to close a learning gap in 3rd grade. So they're touting the benefits of having kids in school longer. And students enrolled in full-day kindergarten also tend to progress in math and reading at higher rates than their half-day kindergarten peers. There are plenty of other studies out there about the benefits, but I think what it comes down to is parental choice.
Let's start off with a phone call from Holiday. Chrissy, what do you think?
Well, I think it's kind of a double-edged sword because I really think kids should be kids, but then I had a learner who she needed full-day kindergarten. So I kind of look at it that you kind of have to base it on your child. Now, I had no idea that they're not really offering a true half-day. They're only offering a full-day, pull them out at half. That means my kid's going to be missing everything in the last half. I would then opt for full. If they're not going to do a true half, would they do the things they need to do? I don't want my child to miss out on, the reading or the math or whatever, even if it's the fun social time together. If I think it's a tough one, and I think you need to base it on what is best for your child.
I'd be curious, too, and I think, thanks, Chrissy, for your phone call. Deanne, let's bring you on the line from Ogden. I just was going to complete my thought. I was be curious to know how many kids would be enrolled in half-day, and I could see my kids doing this. Like, well, Mommy, everybody else is staying for full day. I want to stay for full day. And I'm the kind of mom who be like, have at it.
You got it.
Have at it. Do you ever, I think most parents can relate to this. Like, do you feel like you just drop your child off at kindergarten or preschool, and then you get home, you put the dishes away, you maybe have one grocery store run, and you're picking them up again. You're picking them up again. Deanne, what are your thoughts on full day compared to half day kindergarten?
Yes, I am a grandmother that is my daughter's sending her first child to all-day kindergarten up in Boxelder County, and she was really struggling because she wasn't sure she could really handle the full day hour-wise, but she wanted her to get, all the intellectual, but she found out up there the reading and the math and writing and all that is in the morning half. And then all the extracurricular activities like the music and the art and all that are in the afternoon. Well, she didn't want her to miss that either. So she is sending her all day in hopes that she won't be exhausted, which she probably will. But then we met an acquaintance who's a first grade teacher, and she said there is such a big difference. Then you can see it of those that go to all-day kindergarten versus those that just go to a half day. And so I think that's why my daughter decided, to take her daughter to a full-day kindergarten up in Box Elder County. So,
Deanne, thanks for the phone call. Let's go to Jennifer in Bountiful. Jennifer, what do you think?
Yeah, I am a grandma as well. And when I was raising my kids, I was a real advocate for home time. Things have changed. And honestly, I think that full-day kindergarten is a safer place for many, many, many children. And that has not been discussed. Their home situations aren't great. And it's a great option for them. And I would rather have them be in kindergarten all day long than be sitting with a device while their parent worked because they have two parents that are working.
Well,
so
yeah.
I just think the programs are better. I like the idea of the heavier learning in the morning and the activities in the afternoon. And I think kids adjust. I probably wouldn't have said this when I was raising my kids, but I think we are in a different time. Families are stressed. We have mom and dad both working, and I think it's an option.
Well, it adds like continuity to a child's day too.
Exactly.
Jennifer, thank you so much. That was great insight. And I had the opposite situation where I was working from the time, my kids were born. I mean, I took maternity leave, had my kids, went back to work. And I did feel a lot of parenting guilt for not being able to be in a position to give my kids that continuity. And the stress that goes into making sure your kid gets to a bus and get them, to a daycare facility. And we even went the route of hiring, a nanny at one point because we felt like that would be better than busing them to a daycare facility for the afternoon. And then, of course, the daycare shuts down at a certain time, and I don't even know what the cost per minute was, Dave, at that point, like if you were late and, we were always juggling. You're right. Families are stressed, and if this puts continuity and structure into a child's day, it may be better for the child. It may be better.
I don't know if I buy into the fact that a school is a better spot than a home. If that's the case, then yeah, we've got problems with.
But not all parents can stay home.
Listen, parents are dealing with this in the summertime. You have kids. This is not a big surprise. You know exactly how it works. One of my biggest concerns, though, Debbie, is we keep shifting when we want kids to start learning. I just pulled out some stats on Statista. Are you ready for this? 39% of kids, we're talking about 5-year-olds in kindergarten, 39% of 4-year-olds are involved in some sort of state pre-kindergarten or a Head Start program. So we're not just starting kids at 5, now we're starting 40% of them at 4, and 15% of them are starting at 3. These are state-run pre-K and Head Start programs. I get it, parents. I've been there. I know exactly what you're talking about. The convenience of sending your kids to school is so enticing. But at what point are we going to let kids be kids instead of just making it easier for our schedule?
Well, maybe when we can afford to let kids be kids. I think this has gotten to the point where a lot of families are going to be grateful for the cost savings and are going to be grateful for not having to bus their kids from kindergarten over to daycare to have grandma and grandpa come pick them up. So, there's lots of ways to look at this, and lots of families are in much different circumstances than I'll speak for myself, than I was when I was raising kids. And so if it's an option and you can opt out, then opt out. And you want to just keep your kids in half day, that's what the state has done. They've allowed for both options.
I'm sorry we couldn't get to all the phone calls. We've got a ton of phone calls coming in. People really like this topic. Layla, sorry you were waiting online. We couldn't get to you. But, folks, thanks for chiming in on this.
Could we keep the callers on the line? You want to do that, Dave? Want to keep the callers on the line?
We can keep going?
Let's
continue the conversation?
Can we? I don't know. Let's get the thumbs up or the thumbs down from our producer. Stay on the line, callers. We're gonna hash this out during the break and figure out if we can stay with this topic.
It's 10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour. Students in the Alpine, Granite, Nebo, and Provo school districts headed back to class today. Over 800 freshmen at Granger High School started their day with a pep rally and a tour of the school. Principal Tyler Howe says it's all about getting kids comfortable before they pick up the pencil.
Relationships are huge. I mean, they're the foundation of everything that goes on in a school. Relationships from students to students, students to teachers, and that starts on the first day of school.
Another 2,400 or so upperclassmen got a late start, but they're also back in the classroom today. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. About a third of the buildings in Lahaina, where a wildfire has killed at least 106 people, have now been searched. There's an attempt today to give some Maui residents a bit of their regular lives back. ABC's Alex Stone reports from Maui.
There's a little bit of relief here on the island today in the form of some freedom after lots of anger on the island about how much of West Maui was shut down, cutting off northern parts of the island and trapping people there. The governor now agreeing to open up all roads to everybody with the exception of going into Lahaina itself where the fire burned. But otherwise, for the first time in a week, West Maui residents can come and go from home and work and see loved ones.
The Latter-day Saint missionaries are helping out in the town of Kula, which is on the other side of the island, about 40 miles from Lahaina. It was also ravaged by a wildfire, and many residents there were displaced. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average down 22 points on the day now. It had been up just a bit. The NASDAQ is down 97 points right now. And our KSL weather looks like a little bit of sunshine today before storms move in later in the week. That's next. KSL News Time, 10:32.
This summer, the political season heats up.
By August, it'll be time for debates. Can you believe it?
We're planning coverage of the real issues, the important stories that impact how we live.
Listen each morning from 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
I'm Jake, and I grow corn. But what happened to our music? Where did the banjo go?
Jake, your corn is so heavenly, so we made your music, well, more heavenly.
On Jake's farm, he grew some corn. Even though I missed the banjo, folks say our new music has a heavenly sound. Stop by today for now in season tomatoes, raspberries, peaches, cantaloupe, watermelon, and more.
Click online to harwardfarms.com for a list of locations.
Fresh from our family's farm to your family's dinner table.
Harward Farms.
Martin's Collision Repair.
50,000 cars repaired and counting. Just check Martin's 5-star online reviews.
And posted, Martin's service and professionalism is superb. They repaired my Lexus beautifully in record time.
Hi, I'm Tiago Martins. Check Martin's Facebook page or martinscollision.com for your 5-star Martin's experience. On State Street in Norham and in Salem, we work with all insurance companies.
The right repair, the right paint, the right choice. Martin's Collision Repair.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance. For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-330-1991. That's 1-800-330-1991. Or go to SelectQuote.com. That's 1-800-330-1991. SelectQuote. We shop, you save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
Are you or someone you take care of as their caregiver living with Alzheimer's disease? This study just might be for you. Consider participating in a Therus clinical trial exploring a novel repair and regenerative approach to Alzheimer's disease. Pantheon Clinical Research in Salt Lake City is looking for people with mild to moderate dementia, 55 to 85 years old. A consistent caregiver or support person is necessary for the conduct of this study. This study is a late-stage clinical study of an investigational drug for the treatment of mild to moderate Alzheimer's disease. Pantheon Clinical Research has over 30 years' experience with clinical trials. They conduct their business with professionalism, efficiency, and integrity. Contact Pantheon Clinical Research in Salt Lake City today. Again, call Pantheon Clinical Research today at 385-281-0550. That's 385-281-0550. Or go to pantheonclinical.com. That's pantheonclinical.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Granite Credit Union's high-yield savings certificates. Here's Heather Kelly.
We've got a crash in Provo Canyon. This is eastbound US 189 right at the south end of Deer Creek Reservoir. In fact, this crash has shut down the entire roadway, so people are going to have to start being diverted. Just be aware if you were planning to go to Deer Creek Reservoir coming out of Provo or Orem, you will be turned around at some point or diverted somewhere else. Other than that, we've got a pretty good drive across the Wasatch Front with no problems on I-15. If you want a heating and air company using third-party verification over their work, that's one of the highest rated on both Google and Yelp. Call At Your Services Pros, 801-YOUR-PRO. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, it looks like we're going to see some more sunshine today and tomorrow. And then thunderstorms will move in from the south. Those thunderstorms are affecting southern and central Utah today as well. 82 degrees and partly cloudy at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. Your all-day companion for news.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Well, we've talked in the past about Smith's Ballpark, the Bees, and the situation going on there with the Bees, the baseball team moving out to South Jordan. We're going to talk about another issue right now, and that is that business owners in that area at about 1300 South Main, kind of right there in Salt Lake City, worried about the increased number of shootings in their neighborhood. Yeah, I'd be worried. The latest came over, I saw this news release come over email over the weekend, Dave, where a 17-year-old boy was dropped off at the hospital like 3 o'clock in the morning with a gunshot wound. And then I continued to read the Salt Lake City Police Department's press release, and it seemed like what led up to him being dropped off at the hospital was some sort of a shootout, like in that neighborhood. It just has all kinds of problems written all over it for the people who live out there and have businesses out there.
And this is not the first time gunfire erupts in this area. It is fairly common. We've known this. Being in the news business, we've covered many shootings in this area. But remember, when the Bees decided to move, the Miller family agreed to raise essentially $100 million to help rejuvenate this area and to invest in this area. So if you have rampant crime and violent crime with shootouts like the OK Corral, then that is really going to threaten the investment that is in this area.
Rob Phillips, who our friends at KSL 5 TV talked to. In fact, we're going to talk to Shelby Lofton in just a moment. She has been working on this story and done an excellent job talking to people who live in that area and work in that area. Rob is the co-owner of Roja Brewing Project. It is a brewery just a few blocks away from where that shooting happened the other night. He said it's not uncommon at all to have these kinds of situations happen. Shelby, that's like shots of gunfire in the ballpark area?
It's right behind Major Street. There's a set of townhomes, condominiums right behind. Someone reached out to us and had that Ring camera video. I lost count of how many gunshots are in that video.
So just for our listeners' sake, this is like Ring doorbell camera video?
Yes, on someone's back porch.
And these are the gunshots. Unreal.
So Shelby, what are the concerns in the area from the business owners and residents that you were able to talk to?
There are a lot of business owners who have been there for years, and they said they've seen it go up and down. They felt that they've made a lot of progress right before COVID, and then the pandemic hit, and they lost a lot of longtime businesses there whose owners were very determined to turn around that neighborhood, who wanted to make it safer. And now they said that this one building, which they believe is vacant, it's at 1485 Major Street. They believe it's vacant, but it's where 2 gunfights that we know of have occurred. And it's drawing a crowd. They don't know who it is. These businesses are closed when these gunfights happen. They're happening at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. But it's not uncommon for them to find shell casings when they go on a walk during their break. It's not uncommon for them to see that street full of cars, and they don't know who's driving those cars.
It's unsafe. I mean, this is flat out unsafe. I'm still trying to get over all of those shots that were fired, because what I read in the email from the police department, I had no idea of the scope of. It's literally, like Dave said, it's a shootout at the OK Corral, and this is happening in a neighborhood. And you said that Rob Phillips had his business hit in 2020.
Where there was some shooting that occurred across the street, and a stray bullet did come across into the window.
My goodness.
Yes. And he's so concerned about his employees. He said, thankfully, that particular shooting happened when they were closed, but he has people coming early to get everything set up.
Well, yeah.
And they said, Rob, did you know that we have a window shot out? And there's a bullet lying on the ground inside his business. It's frightening. He says he watches the news every morning, and it's not uncommon to see his business in the background. And then he runs to Twitter to see what happened. He's trying to connect the dots. He's going to city council members to see what is happening in that neighborhood.
What has the Salt Lake City Police Department said?
So the Salt Lake City Police Department told us that they believe this most recent shooting that happened on Sunday morning, they believe it happened between 2 groups of people, that an individual fired at one group and then they returned fire. But as we all just heard, that was a lot of gunshots in rapid succession. They told us that this incident is not reflective of the ballpark neighborhood. We went back 1 year, July 3rd of 2022. We covered another shooting on this same street in the same exact location. The chief of Salt Lake City Police told us this is not reflective of the ballpark neighborhood. And the business owners I talked to there said, that's just simply not true. Look at how many incidents we have. This is reflective of our neighborhood, and we want it to change.
So there's a disconnect between what the police are seeing and then what the actual residents are seeing.
There is. Well, quite a significant one.
And the residents feel unsafe.
They do feel unsafe.
They feel unsafe. And if you don't feel safe in your own community, if you don't feel safe with your workers, your employees showing up at 6 o'clock or 5:30 in the morning, whatever time they have to show up, that community feels unsafe. And that's all I need to hear to be convinced that the police department needs to do more. What's on tap? What are they going to be doing?
So they've told us that they have this Liberty Bike Squad that really focuses the majority of their attention on this neighborhood. They gave us a lot of numbers, said that they've had, I believe, 1,500 dedicated hours of proactive policing in this neighborhood. And they said year to date, crime is down overall, and crime is down in this neighborhood as well. But still, we're seeing these issues, and typically they're in the overnight hours. Rob Phillips, the owner of Roja Brewing, he told me that he does talk to police often. He's calling in drug situations happening outside his business. He said there's a huge issue with prostitution there. He said he's satisfied with the response times, but there's not always that follow-up. There's not always those updates.
What about the proactive policing where it's not, where cops aren't responding to an incident, but they're proactively patrolling? I'm sure that's going to be one of many angles that you continue to follow.
Absolutely. We'll have to continue on that.
Shelby, great reporting.
Thank you.
Great reporting. You can see Shelby's full report at ksltv.com, and keep us updated.
I will.
Keep us updated. Let us know where the story takes you.
One of the difficulties, Debbie, and when you hear the police department cite these kind of numbers, like, hey, citywide crime has decreased 16%. Okay, well, we're talking about specific hot spots. We're talking about this area. I don't need overall statistics, because
because if you live in the ballpark area, I mean, you don't want people in other parts of the community being victimized by crime, but it's like it doesn't really affect you like it does if you hear that gunfire right down the street from your house.
Yeah, there are hot spots, and this is not unique to anywhere. Every big city has hot spots, and when they flare up, you just like a good firefighter, you got to jump in there and you got to squash it. You've got to make sure you get that under control as quickly as possible.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Did you know Utah has just one all-new station in the morning?
It's this one, weekday mornings between 5 and 9.
Start your days with us. We're Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
Your morning companions for news.
Summer might be over for the kids, but summer's not over for your air conditioners. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and we still have plenty of hot days left. So if you haven't had your air conditioner serviced yet, I got some good news for you. Today, Wednesday, August 16th, Any Hour Services is having a surprise one-day sale for any homeowners listening. Normally, we charge $124 to tune up your air conditioner, but if you call today and mention this ad, we'll tune up your air conditioner for only $29. That's a $95 savings. Call Any Hour Services right now at 801-443-7400. Manufacturers say that annual maintenance can help your air conditioner cool your home better and prevent unexpected breakdowns. 801-443-7400. The biggest reasons people don't get their air conditioner serviced each year is because they forget. So right now, while you're thinking about it, call Any Hour Services, lock in a $95 savings, and schedule a $29 air conditioner tune-up. Call Any Hour Services right now at 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
You know, in Box Elder County, they're all about the bucket list. Want to go birding at the premier birding destination in the western United States? Well, check off the Bear River Migratory Bird Refuge. How about land art? The spiral jetty and sun tunnels will leave you inspired. Or stand on the spot where the Union and Central Pacific Railroads joined and forged the destiny of a nation. Yep, Golden Spike National Historical Park is like no other place. Check. Splash, boat, camp, or fish your day away? Willard Bay State Park will guarantee a good time. Soak in a natural hot spring with the highest mineral content in the world? That would be Crystal Hot Springs. You'll feel rejuvenated. Eat at Utah's original steakhouse. Maddox Ranch House is perfection. Check. A 1920s diner. The Idle Owl Cafe will transport you back in time. As you empty your Box Elder County bucket list, you'll find a whole new set of adventures to fill it up again. Fill up your bucket list at visitboxeldercounty.com.
Every 40 seconds, someone dies by suicide. We have the power to change that. Join Promise to Live and promise right now that if you are ever feeling sad, depressed, hopeless, or suicidal, you'll reach out to a friend, family member, 988, or another resource. We need you. Go to promisetolive.org, and once you make the promise, share it. Stop the stigma, start the conversations, and save lives.
Are you recently retired or nearing retirement? There are 3 retirement tax traps that could cost you tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. Learn what they are in a free report. 3 retirement tax traps that could wipe out your savings. It's from Boss Retirement Solutions, a 5-time winner of Utah's Best of State Award. Learn the 3 tax traps that could threaten your hard-earned savings, plus the simple steps you can take now that could dramatically reduce these taxes in retirement. To get your free report, call 801-896-9622. Would you like to save a lot of money in taxes when you retire? Get your free report now by calling 801-896-9622. That's 801-896-9622. Advisory services offered through Boss Retirement Advisors, an SEC-registered investment advisory firm. Insurance products and services offered through Boss Retirement Solutions.
If you've had painful kidney stones, you know you don't want more. Moonstone Stone Stopper is a simple solution that works. Created and recommended by top kidney stone doctors, Stone Stopper is an alkali citrate formula scientifically proven to prevent crystallization. Stone Stopper's patented formula is gentle on the stomach and is available in easy-to-swallow capsules, gummies, and powder drinks that make hydration delicious. Stone Stopper is available at participating Walmart and Walgreens stores. Look for the red stop sign on the bottom shelf of the vitamin aisle. For more information or to find a store near you, go to stonestopper.com.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, It's back to school today for students in several districts around the Wasatch Front. Second, a worker was killed in an accident this morning at a trailer manufacturing business in Clearfield. Third, authorities on Maui opening up some of the roads that were closed after a wildfire destroyed Lahaina. Many are going there finding their homes and businesses burned to the ground. 82 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City right now. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
The race to replace. In-depth coverage on KSL News Radio.
And that race we're talking about right now is in the 2nd Congressional District for Chris Stewart's seat. I've said it before a million times, say it again. He is resigning his position to deal with a family health issue. And so the GOP primary race just finished up an unprecedented debate schedule last night right here at Broadcast House. Dave, you were tracking down these numbers, and this just kind of blew me out of the water.
It's a heavier schedule than you and I. And we're always on the air. But in the last 12 days, it's true. Bruce Huff, Celeste Malloy, they've participated in 10 debates. 12 days, 10 debates, every day except Sunday. And last night was their 10th and final debate, hosted here at KSL. And let me just say, I am so impressed with their willingness to debate, number one, bouncing all around the district, from Farmington to St. George, stopping off in Kanab, Beaver, Delta. And it's also difficult not to mention that Becky Edwards, the third Republican on this primary ballot, chose not to participate in any of these debates. 0 for 10.
The debate aired right here on KSL News Radio from 6 to 7 o'clock last night. It was also seen on KSL 5 television. Our very own Boyd Matheson was the moderator. I stopped by Boyd's desk this morning before I came into studio, Dave, because I thought he did a fabulous job. I thought it hit the perfect tone. It felt comfortable. I listened to it last night on the radio while I was doing things in my house, and just felt like both Celeste and Bruce handled themselves with respect toward one another and gave us answers. So often when you hear a politician speak, and I think this is really important to point out, is make sure when they're giving you an answer, they're answering the question that you asked, because politicians become brilliant at spinning, kind of twisting the conversation in a direction that they want to see it go. But they, as Boyd was moderating it, they talked about everything from inflation. They discussed abortion. They discussed the war in Ukraine as well.
But instead of bouncing around to several different topics with the candidates, we wanted to focus on just one specific topic. And what stood out to you and me was their thoughts on immigration.
Yeah, and the southern border. So let's start with Celeste Malloy's thoughts on the crisis along our southern border, down in Arizona, New Mexico, the San Diego area, Texas, etc.
I think the state of immigration at the southern border is a state of chaos. If you've been watching the news at all, you know that we do not have control of our southern border. I think we've had 5.5 million illegal crossings during this administration, and we don't know who or what is coming across our southern border. You can't be a sovereign nation if you don't have control over entry. We have to have control not just at the southern border, but also at our ports of who and what is coming into our country. Right now, the best technology I know of to secure the southern border is a wall. When we figure out something better than that, let's adopt that, but we have to have control of our border.
And then candidate Bruce Huff also says a wall is needed. He added 2 more solutions.
We can announce to the world that if you come into this country, other than through a legal port of entry, you are ineligible for asylum. End of story, go home. That's going to force people to say, okay, if I really feel like I have asylum as an option, I need to come through a port of entry. We should also, I think, move the magistrates and judges out of the DOJ and to the Border Patrol. And we should double, triple, or quadruple the number of judges so that we're not just doing the sort of catch and release activity that goes on. Come back for a court date in a few months, because it's not going to happen. Because almost 80% of the asylum seekers actually do not qualify for asylum.
I think that's a crucial component that you don't hear a lot of, is get more judges down there, more processing, and make sure it's not as haphazard as it is right now.
Remember when you and I discussed the length of time it took for somebody to get an appointment before a judge, and this was probably a year and a half ago on this show, and we went into the system to actually try to see what it takes to register for an appointment to see a judge when you're trying to immigrate legally, and it was 18 months. And the system is set up as don't call us, we'll call you.
Or pinky promise you're going to show up for your hearing.
It felt as though you get into the system and you never know when your appointment is coming up, so you don't hear back, and then that gives way to illegal immigration because you're just waiting endlessly in a system that doesn't communicate back to you. So let's talk about legal immigration and how the candidates address that. Both of them acknowledged it's not just about keeping people out. It is about making it easier for them to get in. Let's start with Huff.
We have our green card and H-1 visas are a disaster. These go back to things that were settled in 1990. We have quotas of 1990. It's a different world. We have serious unemployment or employment issues where we do not have workers in the hospitality, construction, and agricultural area. We need more workers in this country. The second thing we need to do is we need to open up for skilled workers, especially those who have STEM training, those who have even gone to university here in this country, that we should provide opportunities for them to not only do it, even if there's a backlog, they should be allowed to stay. And not only that, but if they're getting a green card, their family should be able to do it as well, so that we're not separating families in this situation.
And now Malloy talking about making legal immigration doable.
I've taken meeting after meeting with Utah businesses that are dependent on visa workers, and they can't get them. And so I think the answer to this problem is actually fixing both of these things at the same time. We need to fix the border, we need to fix the visa program, and if we fix them together, I think we can get bipartisan support. And the good news about this is both of those solutions are good for Utah.
One thing specifically that stood out to me when Bruce Huff said, if we're going to offer a work visa or a green card, we need to do it for the families as well, to be able to keep families together. It's the first time I've heard that. It's intriguing. And fundamentally, I like the idea of keeping families together, not making dad or mom leave to go work abroad, provide for their family, and send the money back. If you can keep the families together, that should absolutely be a priority.
We're going to have Boyd join the conversation on his thoughts on last night's 2nd Congressional District debate right here at Broadcast House at KSL News Radio between Celeste Malloy and Bruce Huff. But as we wait for Boyd to join us, let's listen to both of their takes on asylum seekers and refugees.
We have to reinstate the stay in Mexico policy. If we let people in and then find out they're not eligible for asylum, it's a lot harder to get them back out. So while we're welcoming and we want to make sure people who are fleeing persecution have a safe place to come, which is the United States of America, we need to make sure that before anybody crosses our border, they are eligible for asylum. Otherwise, the system just gets abused. We've got to remove the incentives, and one of those incentives is letting people come here while they have their asylum hearings. We need to make them stay in Mexico and decide if they're eligible for asylum before they cross the border.
We have one of the most welcoming communities in the country. When I was the president of the Boy Scouts of America here in the Great Salt Lake Council, we actually worked with those communities to create scouting units that included young men and young women so that they could actually integrate into society here in a way that taught them about America and also gave them activities that kept them candidly out of gangs. And so from an immigration standpoint, we welcome those who are absolutely persecuted, but those 80% that don't qualify from the southern border, they can go home.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City. Listen on the KSL News Radio app and in your car at 102.7 FM. KSL News Radio, your all-day companion for news.
It's 11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bonas. KSL's top story this hour. A worker was killed earlier this morning at a trailer manufacturing business in Clearfield. Police Lieutenant Scott Mnookin says the 27-year-old man was caught beneath some falling equipment.
Appears a piece of equipment that was being used as a template and suspended above the workstation fell on the victim.
Mnookin says the man's co-workers tried to keep him alive with CPR before he was taken to the hospital, where he died. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. There are over 100,000 people in the United States waiting for a kidney transplant, and now researchers in New York say they're working on an alternative way to source those crucial organs. Here's ABC's Mike Dabuski.
That's the moment when surgeons at NYU Langone Health successfully transplanted a pig kidney into a patient who is brain dead. The pig's genes were specially modified so the organ would not be rejected when put into a human. Dr. Robert Montgomery led the effort.
We're excited to share with you our latest milestone on our journey to create an unlimited, sustainable source of organs for transplantation.
Pretty looking kidney. Mike Dabuski, ABC News.
The patient who received a transplant will remain under observation for another month. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average down on the day, 28 points right now. The NASDAQ down 92 points right now. And our KSL weather, sunshine until we get to the next couple of days, and then maybe some storms move in. That's next. KSL News Time, 11:01.
Early mornings can be hard enough, just getting yourself going.
We try to make it a little easier with news and weather from comfortable, trusted anchors and reporters.
Join us on Utah's Morning News between 5 and 9
on KSL News Radio.
Everybody knows that exterior remodeling salespeople are all about the high-pressure sell. Am I right? Windows, siding, gutters, those suckers are going to twist your arm and get you to buy, or they won't leave your house at night. Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors, and I want you to know we don't have high-pressure cells. In fact, we don't even have salespeople. Nope, we have estimators. That's a huge difference. Estimators are trained to look at the entire scope of the project, to see and know if there are any problems, like rotten wood, wood-borne insects, or construction issues specific to your house or your neighbors. Salespeople are more concerned about playing those silly price games. Buy one, get one free, sign today and get 40% off, as if they didn't just jack the price up to give you a fake discount. RGS Exteriors estimators are going to give you a great quote. No games, no tricks, no nonsense. Call RGS Exteriors to quote your exterior project. Our number is 801-280-3110 or visit us at rgsutah.com. That's rgsutah.com.
Hey, Derek Overstreet here from the New Millennium Group, financial advisors in Utah. You know, I've been helping people retire in the state of Utah for the last 20 years. The way we do that is we actually find out what is important to you. We create a step-by-step plan that takes into consideration your income, your debt, whether you want money from real estate, stock market, annuities, life insurance, whatever. If you want to deal with professionals, people that are fiduciaries and have a legal responsibility and obligation to do what's in your best interest, give my team a call at 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. Or go to my website, utahsfinancialplanner.com. If you'd like to retire 3 to 5 years before you thought it was possible, give my team a call right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370.
Any Hour Services can make sure your AC keeps you cool this summer. Whether you need a tune-up, repair, or just a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
At Fisher Investments, we do things differently, and other money managers don't understand why.
Because our way works great for us.
But it may not work for your clients. That's why Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, obligated to put clients first. It's the highest standard for a financial advisor.
So, what do you provide? Cookie-cutter portfolios like the rest of us?
No cookie-cutter portfolios here. Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to meet each client's goals and needs.
But you do sell investments that earn you high commissions, right? And make commissions when you make trades for your clients?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission investment products, and we never earn commissions on trades.
So what's in it for you?
Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when our clients do better. When it comes to helping clients achieve a comfortable retirement, we're clearly different. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
We have emergency traffic now, brought to you by Granite Credit Union's high-yield savings certificates. Here's Ricky Meeks.
It's a closure on Highway 189 in Provo Canyon. This is a jackknifed trailer and the haul that it's pulling, and this is eastbound Highway 189 in Provo Canyon near Deer Creek Dam. If you are going to be trying to travel to get to, it's a motorhome pulling a trailer, it is blocking all lanes of traffic, and we're still waiting for emergency crews to arrive on the scene. Again, this is near Deer Creek Dam. No traffic getting through. If you're trying to get from Utah County to Wasatch County on the way to Heber, you need to delay your travel time or use an alternate route. Right now, eastbound Highway 189 closed. It is not expected to have an opening until about 12 o'clock. When it comes to trusted, affordable auto care, nobody does it better than Burt Brothers Tire and Service. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, sunshine today and tomorrow, but some storms moving up from the south. We're getting thunderstorms in central and southern Utah today. That'll be here by Thursday and Friday. And right now, 84 degrees, partly cloudy at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. Your all-day companion for news.
Dave and Dujanovic have inside sources.
The candidates, two of the candidates in the 2nd Congressional District, Celeste Malloy and Bruce Huff, faced off Tuesday night, yet another debate. They've had how many debates in 12 days, Dave?
10. 10 debates, 12 days, took off Sundays.
They were here at Broadcast House last night. I actually saw Celeste from across the newsroom yesterday afternoon, then didn't have a chance to make my way over to introduce myself, even though she's been on the show. We haven't met in person yet. Bruce was here in person, so I had a chance to meet him several weeks ago. And Boyd, I know you so well. I feel like you're family. You moderated the debate, but I did stop by your desk this morning and give you a big high five for how that debate went. I listened to it last night on the radio, and right here in KSL News Radio, as it was live, and our friends at KSL 5 TV broadcast it as well. Really great job.
It was a great debate. It was a great discussion. I think it was an opportunity to have important conversations. There were some definite differences and distinctions in terms of how they approached the job and the principles and policies that really mattered to them. So I love seeing that, kind of where the passion is for each of them. And it was an elevated debate. And it's one of those, I actually paused in the debate because there has been a lot about who did come and who didn't come to the debate. And the thing that I think is important for us to think about as voters, so they have had 10 debates in a very short period. This is the most debates we have had for a federal office, and I would extend that to the governor's races as well. This is more debates than we've had in over a decade for a race, especially a primary race. You have to go all the way back to 2010 when there were like a series of regular debates around the state in the Senate race. But since then, candidates have chosen not to debate because it's much easier to just do a slick television ad, send out a bunch of mailers, and not have to defend what you've said, what you've done, how you voted, what your positions are. And sadly, that we've seen that at the national level as well. We saw that in 2020. President Biden didn't do much in terms of debates, was not out on the campaign stump a whole lot, and kind of did it from 30,000 feet. So I thought one of the important things from last night was just the importance of debates. And Debbie, I was sharing with Debbie that after the debate, as we were talking with these two candidates, they both talked about these counties where they've had the debates, the fire stations where they've had the debates, the different areas where they've had
small communities.
And so many people saying, we've never had a federal debate here, or I can't remember having one here. And so it was important to them that, wow, we're not flyover counties either. We talk about flyover states. Utah's often the flyover state when it comes to presidential politics. There's a lot of counties in the state that feel like they're flyover counties for people running
Wow.
for federal office. And so I think this is significant. I hope this is a trend. Real, regular debate on issues and principles is something we need more of, not less, in this state.
Part of what I like so much about the debate, and I will say this, I've been critical of debates in the past because the formats typically lend themselves to sound bites for pithy one-liners, and that has been the case for a very, very long time. In a primary debate, especially, because there's a lot of similarities, they do have to distinguish themselves with specifics. Yeah. And that is something I always look for. Whenever I'm listening, I want to know, okay, fine, I get your general platform. I understand that. Give me a plan. And that is what you're starting to see. When you're constantly going back and forth, you have to differentiate. That's right. If Celeste answers the first question, I can't just parrot exactly what she said. Yeah. I have to add to it. Yeah. And that makes it powerful.
It makes it very powerful, and it helps you really understand how a candidate thinks and how they are most likely to govern. And I love that component. I always say when people talk about things in sweeping generalities, they're very rarely successful. But when they talk about the specifics, they very rarely fail. And so having that opportunity for candidates to say, here's something specific to me about this issue, you learn a lot about a candidate that way.
There was something, and I love this. I love you. You are a big fan of this. Think differently. Think of something in frame it differently. But Bruce Huff said something, and he was talking about immigration and about legal immigration, work visas. And he said, we need to consider when we give a green card or we give a work visa, that we give one to the family as well. So that dad doesn't have to come and work here and leave the family behind, that you can keep the family together. I thought, I have not thought about that. Of course, that would be ideal. And we should promote that. Why have we not had that discussion? And again, when you start talking about specifics, that is something I think most people would look at and say, oh, yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah. And I love it when candidates get to that kind of specificity. Because, again, it tells you what actually matters to them because they have thought deeply enough about it that they're not just spewing the high-level talking points. Yeah. It's here's something that's specific to me.
It was about 35 minutes or so into the debate that you asked a really great question, Boyd, as the moderator. And you said something to the effect of, it's easy to confront your enemies, especially when you're back in Washington, D.C. It's a little different. It's harder to tell your friends they're wrong. And you ask both of the candidates to respond to that. And Celeste said, well, where I would stand up and tell my party they're wrong is, and I guess what I meant, not candidates, was easy. It's harder to stand up to your own party and the people you're friends with. And she said, well, where I would stand up to them would have to do with this issue of entitlements like Social Security.
I think I'm going to have to stand and tell my own team they're wrong about is entitlement reform. It's something that nobody wants to touch. It's one of those third rails in politics. But I don't know anybody my age who thinks that Social Security or Medicare or Medicaid will be solvent for us.
And out of fairness, I want to play Bruce Huff's response to your question as well.
It really comes down to making sure that people understand that you can't be intimidated, that you don't need anything from them. What you need is just their cooperation, their kindness, and their understanding of your values and your principles.
And he said, stop spending.
which that was, and so I thought both of those answers were fantastic. One, Celeste showed what we often refer to as real political courage. Much easier to just be like everyone else on both the left and the right, for that matter, and just pretend entitlements are going to take care of themselves forever, and they're not. We know they're going to be insolvent. We know it's the biggest driver of our debt, and so for her to say, "Hey, if we want to talk about entitlements, let's talk about entitlement reform." And it's always been the third rail. You don't talk about it. It's this big threat. And that was honest. And we need more people willing to say that, both on the Republican side and on the Democratic side. And I thought Bruce getting to the spending, because Republicans are very good at talking about Democrats' out-of-control spending, but have been less eager to talk about their own out-of-control spending, as that's happened under both Republicans and Democrats alike.
And you've said this a million times. You don't get to $31 trillion in debt through confrontation. You get it through collusion.
That's right.
Boyd, great job.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it was a great debate. It was a great conversation. And the people, if you didn't have a chance to hear it, you can go back and listen to that. You can go back and watch that. It's an important debate because I think it helps people visualize, okay, could I see this person walking the halls of Congress? Could I see this person stepping onto the floor of the House to cast a vote in my behalf as a citizen of the 2nd Congressional District? So I thought it was a good night, a great discussion, a good example to the nation of how people can come together and have a conversation, differentiate themselves, and elevate it in the process.
Yeah, great job. We're going to get that information on where our listeners can follow up and listen to that debate again, and we'll get it to you by the end of the show so folks know where they can, because it's absolutely worth an hour of your time. Boyd, thank you so much. Next, inflation now costing Americans an additional $709 a month. Yep, a month. And so Dave had a question, like, what is the goal? We often hear this number of, like, this percentage of 2%. What is the goal?
Why isn't it 0? So we're going to talk to an economist who can explain it, because I heard Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Fed, try to describe why it's at 2%. It was not a good answer. And the guy that's in charge of it, when he doesn't have a good answer, that's a problem.
Dave and Dujanovic. Hi, it's Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
Why should you start your day with us?
We have decades of news experience between us.
And we take your trust seriously.
Come here for news tomorrow, 5 to 9.
On KSL.
BYU's Big 12 season can't start soon enough.
He's going to go 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown!
This Monday, join us for the premiere of Cougar Nation. Cougar Nation. BYU insider Mitch Harper and Matt Baiamonte look ahead to opening day. The new, bigger Big 12. And they take your calls, BYU fans. That's this Monday night, 6 to 7. Cougar Nation. On KSL News Radio. Boyd Matheson invites you to think about the news differently.
One of the things that we have to do with news is we have to be a lot more curious. It used to be that we could just sit back and let the news come to us. Now we have to be a little more intentional if we're going to get down to the real issues and have the real conversations.
Inside Sources with Boyd Matheson, 1 to 3 on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
I want listeners to feel like they want to share this conversation at the dinner table.
I want listeners to feel informed, more informed than when they joined this show, and they're more in the know than they've ever been before.
Listen for Dave and Dujanovic 9 to noon on KSL News Radio.
About 6 years ago, I had Connecticut of Utah come out to my house and show me the difference soft water could make, because I didn't realize this. I didn't know it at the time, but Utah has some of the hardest water in the entire country. Now, when they installed it, I remember them kind of their passing words as they were leaving. They said, "Oh yeah, you'll be able to tell as soon as you take a shower. You can tell the difference that soft water makes." And sure enough, my wife was the first shower taker. She's like, "Oh yeah, you can feel a difference. Your skin is so much softer, more hydrated. It doesn't dry it out like it was before." And we've loved it. We've loved having our Connecticut water softener. It works efficiently, 2/3 less salt than everybody else. That's how efficient it is. It's not run by a bunch of fancy electronics, so you don't have to reset it or reset. This is not your Wi-Fi router. You don't have to reset it every 2 minutes. So if you're interested in getting soft water in your home, 801-576-8600. That's Connecticut of Utah, 801-576-8600. Or check them out online at softwaterutah.com. That's softwaterutah.com.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same. But at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Different? How? You sell high-commission investment products, right?
No. Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission-based investment products.
Well, you must earn commissions on trades.
Nope, never at Fisher. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in our client's best interest. It's the highest standard of care for a financial advisor.
How do you know what's in their best interest?
We get to know our clients and then tailor a portfolio based on their goals and needs.
But you probably sneak in some hidden and layered fees.
No. We have one transparent management fee, structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, you really do look out for your clients.
That's because our top priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. It might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments and securities involve the risk of loss.
What's the biggest threat to your retirement savings today? Believe it or not, it's taxes. That's right, you could be paying a lot more taxes in retirement than you realize. Learn more in a free report, 3 retirement tax traps that could wipe out your savings. It's from Boss Retirement Solutions, a 5-time winner of Utah's Best of State Award. This free report reveals how you could avoid 3 retirement tax traps that could needlessly cost you tens of thousands, and in some cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars. To get this free report, call 801-896-9622. Don't needlessly overpay your taxes in retirement. Get this free report now by calling 801-896-9622. That's 801-896-9622. Advisory services offered through Boss Retirement Advisors, an SEC registered investment advisory firm. Insurance products and services offered through Boss Retirement Solutions.
Summer might be over for the kids, but summer's not over for your air conditioners. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and we still have plenty of hot days left. So if you haven't had your air conditioner serviced yet, I got some good news for you. Today, Wednesday, August 16th, Any Hour Services is having a surprise one-day sale for any homeowners listening. Normally, we charge $124 to tune up your air conditioner, but if you call today and mention this ad, we'll tune up your air conditioner for only $29. That's a $95 savings. Call Any Hour Services right now at 801-443-7400. Manufacturers say that annual maintenance can help your air conditioner cool your home better and prevent unexpected breakdowns. 801-443-7400. The biggest reasons people don't get their air conditioner serviced each year is because they forget. So right now, while you're thinking about it, call Any Hour Services, lock in a $95 savings, and schedule a $29 air conditioner tune-up. Call Any Hour Services right now at 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, a worker was killed early this morning at a trailer manufacturing business in Clearfield. Police say a template suspended above his workstation fell on him. Second, there are fewer students starting school this week in Utah than we've seen in past years. Third, doctors in New York have developed a technique for transplanting pig kidneys into human patients without the risk of rejection. Right now, 84 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Well, happy birthday to the Inflation Reduction Act. It turns 1 year old today. 1 year old? 1 year old? Anyway, it's its birthday. But, I mean, it does say reduction in its title. However, inflation is costing Americans an additional $709 a month for the exact same stuff you could buy just a couple of years ago.
And then after months and months of inflation coming back down to earth, after a 40-year high, in July it increased a little bit. Not much, but 0.2%.
What's it at now?
3.2%. Now, the 40-year high was nearly 10%. We're still short of the goal. Now, if you're asking yourself, okay, well, what's the inflation goal? Well, it's 2%. Now, if you're asking, as I did, well, why isn't it 0%? Why isn't the goal 0% so you know exactly how much your dollar is worth? This is what the Fed chairman Jerome Powell said when he was asked that exact question. Why is your inflation goal 2%?
For the general public, for those working families of people, why 2%? Why is getting it to 2% so important?
So that has become the globally agreed, essentially all major central banks target 2% inflation in one form or another.
How does that help my Nevada families? How does that help people in Nevada?
I'll tell you how it does. And it's I guess it's obviously not, it's not obvious how that is, but 2% inflation, to have people believe that inflation is going to go back to 2% really anchors inflation there because, you know, the evidence is and the modern belief is that people's expectations about inflation actually have an effect on inflation. If you expect inflation to go up 5%, then it will. You know, if everyone kind of expects that because that's what businesses and households will be expecting and it'll kind of happen because they expect it. So
I'll be honest, Deb. That was such a clumsy answer for me. Like, so it's all about expectation. Well, what if my expectation is 0% inflation or negative 5% inflation? Let's bring down the cost. Yeah. So I found that answer specifically unsatisfactory.
Yeah, clumsy is a good way of putting that. As I sat and thought about it, which you shouldn't have to put too much thought into this. Like, you're expecting the expert to really explain it, so you can follow the dots and all the dots connect. And I thought about it. I felt like, well, maybe there's some self-fulfilling prophecy embedded in that response, and that if the consumers feel that inflation will be at 2%, or if we feel it's going to be at 5%, then companies will come in and just keep, greedflation. They'll mark it up to 5%. So if they say the goal is 2%, maybe there is some sort of self-fulfilling prophecy. What do I know? I'm not an economist.
All right, so we grabbed one. We grabbed a professor of economics, Christian von Lehm, who joins us from Brigham Young University. Can you help me out? Why is the inflation goal? See if you can do better than Jerome Powell. Why is inflation goal 2%?
So, I think part of the clumsiness of his answer is that he was answering a slightly different question. So let me try and help you see what the question he was answering, and then I'll get to the 2% question, because I think that's a great question. I think his first point was we just want to have stable inflation. Now we can debate what the amount is, whether it's 2%, 0%, negative 5%, like you mentioned. But I think his point was it's a much better world when we know what to expect. And the last few years have been very unpleasant, in part because inflation has been so unpredictable. It's been rising for a while, now it's falling for a while. It makes people uncertain, unenthusiastic about spending, uncertain about whether they're saving enough. And so I think that one of the most important goals the Federal Reserve has as a policymaker is to keep inflation stable. And that's basically all Jerome Powell's answer was about. We want it to be stable so people know what to expect. So then the question is, why should we pick 2% as the stable rate? Why not 0%? Why not minus 5%? And I think there's a lot of arguments you can get into, but let's take the extreme when you mentioned minus 5%. What would a world look like if prices are falling by 5% a year? Well, that would mean that the money I'm earning today is going to be even more valuable with each passing year because prices are getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. So that could have a number of unexpected side effects. First of all, it also means most likely our wages and incomes are going to be falling by 5% each year, which is not something we're very enthusiastic about. But in general, wages go along with inflation, and so we would expect people to be paid less and less over time. But that is really hard to do in practice. How do you tell new hires at your business, well, we're going to have to pay you less than the people we hired last year? Well, because deflation is the norm. How do you tell people giving loans that, well, the interest rates have to be negative because the value of a dollar is going to be is going to be so high in the future that you actually need to have a negative interest rate to make the loan sensible. It's a very hard world to think about if you have prices falling over time. And I think in general, the worry you might have is that if we have exactly 0% as our target, you might be flirting a lot with all of the complications and headaches of having negative inflation or deflation. And so having some cushion to move you away from that 0% dipping into negative territory is desirable. Could it be 2%, 3%, 1%? We can argue over the specifics, but I think that's why we don't have 0% or negative price growth as the target.
Professor, I've got you for Fed chair next because you did a wonderful job. You hit it out of the park. I totally followed that. That was wonderful. Thank you for taking the time to break it down for us, because so many of us feel the inflation. We're feeling that $709 additional every single month, but we don't totally understand what the future looks like. That, and again, to his point, we want to be able to predict what things are going to cost, and inflation has just blown that out of the water. We have no idea what the right price for stuff is anymore because we've had this crazy roller coaster for the past few years.
Straight ahead, Mike Anderson joining the show of KSL 5 TV. The president of the Utah Farm Bureau has resigned, and He's going to explain why.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City. Listen on the KSL News Radio app and in your car at 102.7 FM. KSL News Radio, your all-day companion for news.
It's 11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour. We have breaking news out of Mattaway. An important notice for anybody living in Mattaway or who know people in that area. Town officials say the emergency pump is down at their city well. They're telling residents to stop using water both inside and outside until further notice. People can keep an eye out for updates on the Mattaway Facebook page. Declining birth rates and more alternative school options are being blamed for decreasing enrollment in several Utah school districts. KSL News Radio's Heather Kelly has more.
The Canyons, Salt Lake, and Granite school districts are just a few which have lost anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 students in the last 5 years, while others like Alpine and Nebo are growing. KSL.com reports lower birth rates in some counties is just one reason for fewer students.
Another factor cited is the Utah Fits All Scholarship, which is providing $8,000 a year for each student with families who enroll kids in private schools or teach them at home. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The counteroffensive in Ukraine has been slow going in recent weeks. A top Ukrainian official telling ABC News that the war is in a decisive phase and that forces on the ground need to act fast if they're to gain any momentum. We have more from ABC's Tom Sufi-Burridge in Kyiv.
Ukrainians have a window, and that window is the summer, effectively. When the fall comes, the rains will arrive and the ground will soften. Any military offensive actions, any movement by armoured vehicles is way harder once the ground softens. So the Ukrainians know they have to take advantage of the summer. They want to avoid a stalemate in this war.
And your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average down 102 points right now. The NASDAQ almost as far, 99 points right now.
What do you need to hear in the morning to feel ready for the day?
Important news that happened overnight, the traffic you'll hit on the roads.
You'll be ready for your day with us.
Join Utah's Morning News 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
You've been following my soda weight loss journey for almost 20 months now. I lost 37 pounds in the first 12 weeks. Amazing, feel different, look different, able to act different. And all of it came through just the power and simplicity of SOTA. SOTA stands for state-of-the-art weight loss because it is. You've got that weekly one-on-one coaching that I love to talk about, that accountability piece. And not just accountability, but insight. When you have a question, you're not sure, you're hesitating, you just text, you just call. You have access to your own nutritionist to keep you right on pace and keep everything going. It's also a whole 100% 360-degree look at how you approach nutrition. Getting your body the right energy, the right nutrients at the right time does make all the difference, and it's part of what makes SOTA so successful, not just for me, but for countless other people. As I said, I'm 20 months down the road, right on path, right where I've been for almost 20 months now. Same thing can happen for you. As I always say, when it comes to your SOTA weight loss journey, there's no time to lose. There's only time to win. So get winning. Start with SOTA weight loss today. Check it out at SOTAweightloss.com, SOTA weightloss.com.
Stop for a moment and think about this. Do you know how much money in your 401k or IRA is actually yours? Or will the government take a bigger chunk than you thought? Remember, you still might owe taxes on that money. But do you have a plan to help make sure you don't pay more than you should? At Capital Wealth Advisors, we believe you deserve to keep more of what you've earned, which is why we're here to help you navigate the confusing world of retirement taxes. It's your money. You deserve to know what's at stake. Right now, taxes are historically low, but they won't be this low forever. So call the Capital Wealth Advisors team today so you don't miss out on this opportunity. 801-210-5500. That's 801-210-5500. You work hard for your money, and we'll work just as hard to help you keep it. Capital Wealth Advisors, 801-210-5500. Advisory services offered through Capital Wealth Advisors, LLC, a state of Utah registered investment advisor. Firm may not give tax advice.
2 years ago, Americans watched in horror as a crisis unfolded at the Kabul airport.
There's desperation and anguish.
More than 80,000 Afghans have since arrived in America, but this story is still unfolding. I'm Andrea Smartin. In my new podcast, Stranger Becomes Neighbor, we'll find out what happens to these new arrivals in our communities. Who would help our newest neighbors? Follow us at kslpodcast.com, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else you listen.
At KSL News Radio, we have a 30-year legacy of honoring Utah teachers, but we can't do it without your help. Please tell us about an important teacher in your life on the KSL Teacher Tribute Wall, presented by Cypress Credit Union. Each month, one lucky teacher wins a $500 gift card from Cypress Credit Union, a $250 gift card to Harmon's, plus season tickets to Hale Center Theater. Say thanks to your teacher today at kslnewsradio.com/teacher from Cypress Credit Union and KSL News Radio.
This week's movie show is brought to you by My Hearing Centers. Learn about the amazing new Signia X hearing aid and find out how you could win a free pair from My Hearing Centers.
We have emergency traffic still, brought to you by Granite Credit Union's high-yield savings certificates. Here's Ricky Meese.
It's about 3 to 4 miles of solid backups with no traffic getting through. Highway 189 eastbound Provo Canyon is closed due to a crash at Deer Creek Dam. Now, with no traffic getting through, even though a big tow truck has arrived on the scene, the delays just continue to pile up. Not quite back to SR 92, but if you're trying to get from Provo to Heber and into Wasatch County, you need to either delay your travel time or take an alternate route. We are hoping they're going to be able to at least open up one lane of traffic by noon today. Exceptional food, service, and ambiance is the Five Alls Restaurant. 5 courses, 5 stars, and dozens of anniversaries, engagements, and special occasions are celebrated at Five Alls. Visit fivealls.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, we've got sunshine today, and it'll be hot again tomorrow, and then we'll see storms moving up to northern Utah from the south because of monsoon moisture that's about to arrive. And right now, we're looking at 84 degrees and sunny skies at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM at KSLNewsRadio.com. Your all-day companion for news.
David Dujanovic.
Our colleague at KSL 5 Television, Mike Anderson, has been closely tracking developments and reporting on this story. The president of the Utah Farm Bureau, Ron Gibson, he was also accused last week. In fact, he was arrested according to a record here that we've received here at Broadcast House. The offense described in this record is assault. And police had said that they were dispatched to an assault that had occurred in Weber County, and the victim had called 911 and stated he was assaulted by his boss, Ron Gibson, who also owns a farm up in the Weber County area. And the victim stated that he and several of his coworkers were not being paid, and that when they confronted Ron about not being paid, there was a small verbal altercation, Dave, that took place, and the victim showed the cops a video, and Ron had told him to shut up in Spanish and then proceeded to backhand him across the face.
Yeah, in the video, you can't see the actual backhand, though it's pretty clear. You can kind of hear what happened, fill in some of the blanks. But KSL 5 Television's Mike Anderson has been following this. Are we going to play a little bit from his
Let's just
story,
bring Mike on right now. He's on the line. Mike, there's been some developments that you've been reporting on regarding Mr. Gibson and his position at the Utah Farm Bureau as president.
Yeah, hey guys. Initially he took a leave of absence from his job, but submitted his resignation. At least we got the announcement last night. And so the Utah Farm Bureau said that, they accept that. They just feel that they're grateful for his service, but say that, that mistreatment of a worker is just not acceptable. And so they are accepting his resignation. And the thoughts from the American Farm Bureau are also very similar. Despite his apology, it's just not okay to mistreat workers.
Yeah, I was reading through that statement last night after they sent it out, Mike, and I thought it was quite strong in some areas that they're grateful, as you said, for his service, but his mistreatment of a farm worker last week was unbecoming of a leader and inconsistent with Farm Bureau values. and that treating people with respect is a core value that must not be compromised, and that workers accept these positions on farms, and they face some hard work in the fields and pastures across America, and they deserve our gratitude and respect. And in fact, that farmers, ranchers cannot be able to carry on their important roles of feeding Americans without their employees. So that statement gets issued. Mr. Gibson has resigned, but there's still this question of this ongoing investigation because when police responded to that 911 call and spoke to the victim and the group there, they found other issues, it sounds like.
Yeah, and this is still very early in the investigation, but of course you have the claims for missed paychecks, and then the claim of the full septic tank, and you had 14 of those guys living in one house with one bathroom. And if I might add, I mean, I talked with a number of farmers yesterday, and this is a very tough thing because, and this kind of goes back to what you mentioned in the responses. You know, a lot of the farmers, and they don't want to be named because it's a tough thing for them. You know, Ron Gibson is still very big in the community, but they don't want this giving them a bad name. You know, they value their workers. They're hard to get. There's a bit of a worker shortage nationwide. You know, it's your average teenager won't do this work, or your college student. And so through the H-2A program, they're able to get these workers in to do this important farm work and help us all get food. And they say, you know, it's important to treat them fairly. And they're just, when you see that, you know, they've all seen that video, and they say it's just unacceptable. And it's tough because he was very vocal and very in the public in his position with the Farm Bureau and representing farmers. And you know, let's be fair, he was there through the pandemic and helped with Farmers Feeding Utah, which helped people get food and farmers get paid through the pandemic. But when they look at this video, it's just unacceptable. They don't want to be attached to that, and it's very important, they say, to be fair with their workers.
Mike, there's two very important parts to this. Number one is he was president of the Utah Farm Bureau Federation, but he was also running his own farm, correct? And these were
yes.
separated. These are two different jobs. He ran his farm one way, and then he was the president of the Utah Farm Bureau Federation. Is he returning just to work on his farm? Is that what he's doing right now?
Well, I mean, I honestly, I don't know, but presumably I would imagine so, because it's a family-owned farm and he runs it, and so he's got to keep that going.
But just to remind our listeners and catch them up to speed, when he was arrested last week, it was after that incident involving the worker that claimed that he was backhanded and that they were just looking for their back pay. He was then released from the jail facility. Am I correct in that? And now this other investigation ensues into the other allegations that have come to light, which the police said were allegations of fraud and human trafficking. Do I have that? Do I have my set of facts straight there, Mike?
Yeah, that's exactly right. He was, arrested and booked on suspicion of assault, and you've got the video that we've seen. There's a second video where you can see the hit a little better, but it's shot through a thin T-shirt, so it's really hard to make out people. But anyway, so the charge of assault is still pending, and that's not unusual for that to happen. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. I would say likely he'll be charged with that. The investigation, who knows? There's obviously, presumably, enough information that the State Bureau of Investigation said, hey, let's investigate this further. So we'll have to wait and see what happens to that.
KSL 5 Television's Mike Anderson. Thank you, Mike, for joining us and updating.
You can catch all of Mike's reporting and our friends at KSL TV who've been keeping up on this matter at ksltv.com. Next, we're going to take you live to Maui. We have a victim who's waiting on the line who lives on Maui. Got swept up in this horrible wildfire from last week, and she's going to be calling into the show, Dave, to talk about what it is like right now on Maui.
Dave and Dujanovic. Before Dave and Debbie get started each day, this station is all news all morning.
And later today, we follow up on those stories as you drive home.
Get important news all morning and all afternoon.
Here on KSL News Radio.
Summer might be over for the kids, but summer's not over for your air conditioners. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and we still have plenty of hot days left. So if you haven't had your air conditioner serviced yet, I got some good news for you. Today, Wednesday, August 16th, Any Hour Services is having a surprise one-day sale for any homeowners listening. Normally, we charge $124 to tune up your air conditioner, but if you call today and mention this ad, we'll tune up your air conditioner for only $29. That's a $95 savings. Call Any Hour Services right now at 801-443-7400. Manufacturers say that annual maintenance can help your air conditioner cool your home better and prevent unexpected breakdowns. 801-443-7400. The biggest reasons people don't get their air conditioner serviced each year is because they forget. So right now, while you're thinking about it, call Any Hour Services, lock in a $95 savings, and schedule a $29 air conditioner tune-up. Call Any Hour Services right now at 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
What is the biggest threat to your retirement savings today? Believe it or not, it's taxes. That's right. You could be paying a lot more taxes in retirement than you realize. Learn more in a free report, 3 retirement tax traps that could wipe out your savings. It's from Boss Retirement Solutions, a 5-time winner of Utah's Best of State Award. This free report reveals how you could avoid 3 retirement tax traps that could needlessly cost you tens of thousands, and in some cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars. To get this free report, call 801-896-9622. Don't needlessly overpay your taxes in retirement. Get this free report now by calling 801-896-9622. That's 801-896-9622.
Advisory services offered through Boss Retirement Advisors, an SEC-registered investment advisory firm. Insurance products and services offered through Boss Retirement Solutions.
School breakfast is a great way to supercharge a student's day. Each morning, schools offer delicious and nutritious foods tailored to power up both the mind and body for a day filled with successful learning. Consistent morning nutrition, rich in wholesome foods, including dairy, supports cognitive function and concentration, ensuring students are well prepared for a productive day. Every student in our schools has access to this opportunity. Unbottled, a Dairy West brand through the support of local dairy farmers, is working to ensure that nutritious breakfast options remain a staple in our schools. Research has consistently shown a correlation between balanced diets, which include dairy, and academic success. Local farmers, recognizing the importance of this, have generously provided grants to schools, enabling them to enhance their cafeterias. These grants have facilitated the inclusion of options like smoothie stations, aligning with the aim of supporting the overall well-being and cognitive development of our students. This vital message is brought to you by Unbottled, a Dairy West brand.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. USANA is an award-winning direct selling company in the health and wellness space. Not only is it innovating and advancing the science of nutrition, but also putting a healthy, happy life within reach for all. President and CEO Jim Brown joins us with more.
At USANA, we've always had a goal to create the healthiest family on earth. We have more than 800 employees in Utah working hard to provide the best supplements, skincare, and nutrition products to people all over the world. We're proud that the majority of our products are made right here in Utah. Since USANA began in 1992, we have had an obsession with the health at the cellular level. And it's that obsession, along with our proven science and strict manufacturing standards, that has allowed USANA to be trusted by more professional and Olympic athletes than any other supplement company in the world. From professional teams in the U.S. and around the world, to organizations like U.S. Ski and Snowboard and USA Swimming, we provide athletes with clean, potent nutrition to help them be their best. You can find out more about our great products and elite athletes at USANA.com.
USANA takes a full science approach to product creation. Each product goes through 6 stages: research, formulation, clinical trials, manufacturing, quality control, and third-party validation before arriving at your doorstep. All with 100% strength and potency guarantee. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, Manaway residents are being told to stop using water inside or outside right now until a problem with the city's main well can be fixed. Second, fewer students will be starting school this week in Utah. And third, it's been tough fighting in Ukraine this summer. The counteroffensive by Ukrainian troops is going slowly. Right now, it's 84 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
The Maui Recovery. Special coverage on KSL News Radio.
As I'm understanding more about the devastation and the fires on Maui, it's just becoming more and more clear about just how complex things are there. I mean, first of all, we were reporting earlier on the cell phones. They're asking people not to call in and call out, but to text instead because the cell phone towers are getting jammed. There's just not enough bandwidth. And didn't you point out that there was a plane flying overhead making announcements?
Yeah, speakers, like loudspeakers attached to a plane that they're trying to get the message out.
Yeah, whatever that message is in the moment. There's also, we're learning there's one way in and one way out because roads are closed. And thankfully, we've got one member, and probably many others, of the Lahaina First Ward of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints collecting money, some $150,000 with the help of her ward to fly in supplies on a private plane to Lahaina.
Yeah, it's been incredible to see the outpouring, not just on a national level or international level, but what people are able to do on the ground. And I think it's important to make sure we're talking to the folks that are on the ground, because with all these supplies coming in, what do you need? What do you have a surplus of?
Sierra, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Sierra. Sierra Levitt. You're a Lahaina resident.
Yes, I am. I am from the Lahaina First Ward. I've lived in Lahaina for a few years now, and Lahaina is our home, and it's so crazy and sad, everything that we've been dealing with for the past week now.
So where were you when the fire came through?
When the fire came through, I was at home because we woke up that morning and we had no power starting at like 4 a.m., I believe. We had no power or no service. We didn't really know what was going on. We just knew a windy storm, was coming our way. But I was at home in Napili, which is about 10 minutes from where the fire was at. And I have friends who live on Front Street when this was all going down too, and many members of our ward who were there and had to evacuate immediately when the fire came through.
Was it? I just paint a picture for us. Was it happening as fast as everything that we've seen and read seems like it was happening?
Yeah, so it kind of started. So in the morning, it was just power was gone and it was just windy, and we just knew some power lines were down. And then we heard in the afternoon, like there was a small fire, but in the summer, small fires are pretty common there on the hill just because we get so dry, and so no one was concerned. And then about at like 3 o'clock, the fire started getting bigger and bigger, and people were kind of getting more concerned, but we weren't getting any evacuation notices or anything like that, or any sounds of alarms. One, probably because we had no service to receive any evacuation warnings as well, because a lot of times those come through text, as far as my knowledge. And then I had friends who started leaving their house around 3:30, and then were getting stuck on the roads. And then by 4, their houses were completely covered in like this dark smoke ash, and immediately they were running. Like you really had little to no time to get out when you made the decision that we need to leave on our own. And then the roads were completely packed, and it was hard to get out, and people had to run. A member of my ward, a grandmother, ran to the water, and she was stuck in the water from 4 p.m. to 2 a.m. until someone found her and was able to help her.
Wow. How was this fire spreading? I was looking at a map and trying to figure out, it's not like the forest appears to have gone right to the shoreline. How was this traveling? Was it just from building to building?
Yeah, it was building. The wind was extremely strong. I believe it was 70 to 80 miles per hour wind, and it was just so windy, and the heat was 1,000 degrees, and so it just was catching fire to everything it was coming to. And at that point, so on that hill there, it's just dry field. So once it hit buildings, it just was so fast and so hot where it could jump over asphalt. You know, it wasn't stopping once it hit roads because it was moving so fast with the wind. We have footage of our friends' homes where they're like, we can see the smoke, and they couldn't see necessarily like the fire flames yet, but fire like ash was landing on their homes, and then that was lighting like trash cans on fire and trees on fire before the actual fire even reached them. Their homes were already lighting on fire.
Sierra Levitt is a Lahaina resident. She's on Maui, calling us right now live to talk about not only what happened last week, but also talk about what she's doing to raise funds. And it looks like we have here on the in the script here, it says $150,000 that you've collected to help.
And
help
still
there.
growing. Yeah, it's insane. Yeah. So what kind of happened with that? So on the next day, so it was the day after the fire, all our power was still out, and we had people everywhere, and we're like, we need a generator. Like we need something, you know, to keep us going for the next few days. We weren't sure how long it was going to last. So we went into town when the road was still open. We got all the supplies for our friends around us and some generators and gas because all the gas stations were closed. And then by the time we were about to come back, they closed the road. So we were like completely trapped. We couldn't get back to our home. We couldn't get supplies back to our friends. And so we had to stay on the other side of the island with other friends in our ward, actually, too, whose homes completely burned down. And at that point, everyone started asking, like, how can we get money to? How can we help? How can we help? And I decided, like, you know what? My family doesn't need the most help. Like, don't send me personally money. Let's get it to the people whose homes lost everything. Our family, like my husband and I, our jobs were 100% affected by this fire, but we still have our home. So I'm like, let's get money to someone else. So I just posted my Venmo and was like, anything you send will go to supplies and get to the people or to their homes, etc. And it just blew up. People have been sharing it everywhere. You know, all around the world, I have people donating from even Europe and Canada. People are donating money. And wards all over have been sharing it, and it really has been incredible because immediately we were able to go to the store, stock up supplies. One of my good friends was in contact with a private pilot that actually just teaches flight school here on Maui, and it's this tiny plane, and I was like, can we fill it up with supplies and send it into Kapalua Airport, which is a tiny airport on the west side, and that's how we started getting the first supplies plane into Kapalua. You could only get in by air or by boat.
Wow.
Sierra Levitt is joining us right now, is on Maui, a Lahaina resident. What is the greatest need that you're seeing right now as far as supplies go?
So it changes every day. So originally, of course, it was like essentials, food, diapers, formula. The very first day of the fire, we went up to the hill and we were just trying to get service. There was this random little hill by the airport up there, and all of us could get like one bar. And this is before anyone was knowing what was going on. And a mother came up to me, and because I have my own baby, I have 3 kids, and I was holding my own baby, and she said, does your baby take formula? And she was hysterically bawling, and she was just a tourist, you know. And I was like, my baby doesn't take formula, but I actually have an emergency pack at my house. I'll run down the street and get it for you. So like immediately with the fire, like after the fire, there were needs, you know, needs of people. And so it's been changing every day. Right now, we're trying to get pop-up tents and tarps and cots, you know, so that people have shelter who don't have places to go yet. They're building base camps over there right now, so people can have some type of shelter because another storm's supposed to be hitting us just sometime this week. So it just changes every day depending on the needs of the people.
Well, Sierra, thank you for joining us and telling us your story, and best of luck. Sierra is a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and has collected over $150,000 to help provide supplies and help to those people of Lahaina.
If you want to give, you can do so at kslnewsradio.com. If you go to our webpage, there's a bright yellow button on the top left side. It says Donate to Help Maui. 100% of the money that we receive through that, our Bonneville, KSL News Radio, KSL TV, FM 100, 103.5, the Arrow fundraiser, KSL Sports is involved as well, goes to